from our last meeting, and in fact the minutes that came out, and I apologize for some of the typographical errors in there. Tell you the honest goodness truth, I'm not sure if I really reviewed it, but you know, I'll take the hit on that as it came out. There was a couple of things that came out of that meeting from last month that I think was worth, at least from my side, bringing it up to the all committees meeting to make sure we're on the same sheet of music here, and make sure that if I happen to miss something during this meeting, we want to look at that and address it to the people that were supposed to do the follow-up, you know, from the last meeting. As an example, well, the first item that I had was the, remember the HPD storage situation, and the board elected, or in fact had a vote, and wanted to do a letter of support. We did put that letter out, so just to let everybody know that letter did go out supporting the HPD storage situation over there in Ewa. Now, there was some questions in reference to, and I think it came from Celeste, obviously during the one of the residents from the community, coverage on PPE Road certain times of the day. The HPD officer that made the report indicated that he was going to do a follow-up. So I think as the board members, we need to, when he gives his report, one of those things, again, in case I happen to miss it, hopefully somebody jumps in, but one of those things is we want to be able to follow up on that, at least that question, if he had an opportunity to follow up and give us some feedback on what he did. Okay.
What was the concern?
There was, let's see, it was in the minutes here. Hang on one second. Let me just go ahead and review the minutes here real fast. So that's brought up, okay. I had it highlighted here, hang on. Bear with me 1 second. Oh, here it is. Okay, she raised a concern not enough police patrols on PPE Road and near Kapolei Parkway. Okay, and she wanted to know why. The officer that was making the report indicated that he will follow up, or a follow-up will be done on that particular concern. What I'm trying to do is hold these guys to their follow-ups. You know, at least let them come back to us and say, hey, look, I checked this out. Because it was in the minutes, you know, I think we need to make sure we address those right back to them and encourage them to give us that feedback. You know, I think the community needs that. I mean, they owe us that in reference to the follow-up. So that was one of the other items that I pulled out of the minutes. Let's see, another one was, okay. Of course, there's always been a problem, and I'm sure it'll be an ongoing problem in reference to the number of HPD officers that we have in our district, okay? And of course, that comes up periodically, almost every month. The answer that we got back was that the mayor's office had allocated X number of funds, and now they're waiting for classes to go through so they can get qualified officers so they can hire them to be put on, you know, to increase the force. Well, again, it's one of those things I think
it's ongoing then.
It's ongoing, you know, but at least kind of give us a little status update. You know, again, we're just trying to push the issues. They mention something like that. Hopefully they come back and give us a status update. Or if it's not immediate, at least some kind of progression that we try to follow through on it. I have some suggestions on that kind of stuff, but it might be far-fetched. And my ideas in reference to increasing patrols, there's a number of officers that probably go through, or let me put it this way, a number of people that go through the HPD program, you know, to be qualified officers, and for whatever reason, they bomb out, whatever reason. However, they all went through the background checks and all that good stuff before they started, okay? Even though they, you know, bombed out, they may be qualified enough for traffic duty, if nothing else. If they could, you know, devise some type of a traffic department, strictly traffic. The guy has no other actions in life except, you know, he couldn't make it as a police officer, but he might be qualified as, you know, some sort of traffic division, you know, very specific. And the only reason I say that is because when we're depending on calls to HPD to respond to different things, you know, I mean, there obviously is a priority thing, you know. That might be something that could be thought of to alleviate some of their, you know, or minimize, let me say, not alleviate, but minimize some of their calls.
But everything, all the cops on the beat are considered,
Yeah.
you know, all around guys, traffic and, you
I know.
things like that. So
And
because-
see,
because
now
of
that again would
of the
relieve
move.
them of that immediate traffic duty, right? And put them into the focus of where the real problems are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, well, you know, of course, that's probably why we have a lot of rent-a-cops, if you will, for lack of the word, security forces, different security forces throughout the whole state, you know, because a lot of those guys probably end up in those security agencies, you know, and they do nothing else but condominium security, association security, or something like that, building security, right? But those same guys, because they went through that HPD course, it could be utilized in such a manner for the state, specifically in the traffic division. You know, I mean, it's just a wild thought, you know, but there's a possibility. You're talking about waiting for qualified people. Well, yeah, we can still go through that process, but meanwhile, as you're kicking guys out of the program that have been qualified to start the program, you can utilize them for a minimized duty. You know, just a thought, I don't know. But,
I would suggest, Mr. Chair, that you ask the council member tonight if there's a way to take those police officers that weren't successful in the police academy that have clearly, you know, demonstrated some commitment to law enforcement, that there's a way to still retain their services. And, you know, there might be a 3-year evolution of something, but you would plant the seed with the person who would be able to do that.
yeah.
I think it's worth, you know, at least putting it in his
Yeah.
hands.
I think it might be lowering the kind of standards, you know, the police department has.
Maybe they like redefine
Maybe
nature.
the ones that flunked out,
Yeah.
and they needed to.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, I was in public safety for 45 years. Never worked because the liability is too high.
Okay.
When you talk about traffic, you know, in large cities, if you have parking enforcement, which is totally different.
Right.
When there's a car parked,
Similar to the meter maids, that
right,
kind of thing.
exactly,
Okay.
you can do it. But anytime, couldn't have any kind of traffic control or anything like that because you never know what you're gonna have.
Right.
So if you're any kind of moving violation or moving anything, or even if people are just sitting in the car, you don't want a non-qualified police officer approaching the car, getting involved with people in any way,
Yeah.
because the liability is through the roof.
Very realistic.
That's very realistic, and understand what I'm saying. I'm not trying to implement something.
I'm just
to say,
saying.
you know, but I appreciate that because that helps me
You're
determine
limited to
whether it's a
parking
good
enforcement.
cause or not, or it's a good suggestion or not. You know, I mean, I'm just thinking of things as I'm driving down the road, and I'm thinking, well, you know, there are some possibilities here because they do have people that let's say become 50% qualified, but for whatever reason they bomb out of the class. You know, and like you were about to say, it might, in a sense, lower the standards of the police department, you know, for that kind of thing. But ultimately, hopefully, we get more police on board. You know.
The thing that, like for however many years I've been here in the community, I've at different times in neighborhood board meetings proposed to elected officials the how do we create a tax incentive, how do we create some type of economic incentive to get officers who we know live in the community to police in the community. But the thing, and you could probably give us some insight there, I mean, at some Ocean Point Community Association meetings, when I bring that up, I get some kind of, I've gotten some sarcastic pushback of, hey, we've got 10, 15 officers in the neighborhood, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, what I'm told is they don't want to police in their own community for the privacy, the protection, that they're getting away from work.
Yeah.
So it could be that the idea of having people live and police in the same community is maybe something that's a bit naive, because as wild as threatening as it can be.
Well, like I said, I don't want to make a debate out of it. It was just a thought.
No,
and,
no, it's something
it's
to try
something
to
that could possibly assist with the current situation that the HPD has.
Well, probably they could have contract traffic control personnel.
That's feasible, I believe.
Especially with road
Yeah,
closures
yeah.
for the construction.
Well, they're already using the sheriff's department to do not particularly traffic control, but they can flag speeders, in effect, issue tickets and other, I guess, smaller activities. Yes, sir.
I think the easiest way, and I've heard about this for years, I've heard this discussion for years. Theoretically, from what I've learned in the past, is there's 4 officers on a regular basis assigned to the area. You have the shift change take place here, and you won't have people running back and forth to Capaway. In other words, if you're expelled, or if a new officer takes your place, takes the place
On site.
in the area in which
Yeah.
he's patrolling.
Right.
Because what happens is, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but when you drive back and forth, you see police officers continually come back from around the other side.
Yeah.
And so it's a situation where most of the time we actually probably have about 2.5 officers in the area because of the shift changes, because they're going back to headquarters for this or that,
Yeah.
or because they call out of the area.
Yeah.
So shift change should take place in the area.
So actually, a change of procedure for what they're currently doing might even help a little bit.
Well, that would be a huge change.
Yeah.
That means we would have 4 officers in the area theoretically at all times, which would be almost 2 officers more than we do now.
I think this is something, as far as HPD officer, when he makes his report, you might be able to field that to him, just to see where he's at, or what their feelings are.
I think they would want the officer at the end of his duty to go back to the station and make the report.
Well, they can go back if they're just
Just
theoretically off
being
duty.
relieved on site,
In other
and
words,
that guy takes
I
off.
think the problem is we talked, 15, 20 years ago, was to keep the same officers on the beat and not rotate them to different areas. So I think, so that officer becomes familiar with the people.
now, this isn't a rotation.
What?
This isn't a rotation.
No, what I'm saying, keep the same officers instead of,
Instead of rotating them.
Instead of
I'm
rotating
not
them out.
talking about rotating at all.
Yeah.
Talking about
Just
you have a shift
changes.
change.
Shift changes, right.
Guy, theoretically, one guy watches for 8 hours in an area. He doesn't leave until his, the person taking his place comes and relieves them on site rather than, because I'm not, in public safety, you normally, that's what you do. You relieve,
Right.
somebody. Now, station shift changes are different. But if you're in area
but
patrol,
see, if you do it.
I don't want to argue with you, Glenn. I just want to make a suggestion.
You never get the same policeman all the time.
I'm not
Yeah.
talking about the same policeman.
Well, I'm talking about the same policeman. To
Okay.
familiarize himself with the area, people get to know him.
Yeah.
He gets to know the problems in the area.
I'm not talking about that at all.
Sometimes though, that could actually work against you too. But again, we're not here to debate that. It's just a thought in my mind that came up in reference to the current status of what we have, opposed to either increasing, in fact, the hope of increasing visibility of HPD in the area because alleviating whatever problems and crime. Just quickly moving on here. The other thing that I picked up out of the minutes was rent road concerns. We talked about the large vehicles, okay? The board voted to address a letter to the contractors. Well, not the city. Now, that action was actually voted down, but it was mentioned that we bring it up to the contractors of those vehicles and see if they would possibly maybe slow the usage of Renton Road, with the larger vehicles, 10-wheelers, what have you, if that was possible. That might be able to reduce some of that traffic. So that was just another area that I picked up out of the minutes, and it's one of those things. Now, I did not write that letter that I should have written, and of course I need to follow up on that, but hopefully I'll put that out this week actually. I just got overwhelmed last month with a number of things.
Let me give you my input on that.
Yeah.
If you're gonna limit heavy trucking, then we have to have designated no-drive areas. If you're talking about down here, there's not too many roads with the heavy construction that you can travel on.
Yeah, all the conversation, actually most of it was from Gary Bautista.
Yeah.
The concern was on Renton Road specific.
Because if you look down Renton Road, I mean, they park their trucks down Renton Road, and they use the Renton Road as
So it might just be a mute point then.
yeah. I mean, if they come and agree to it, I mean, the truckers will never agree to it.
Right.
It's got to be an ordinance that you can't drive.
Yeah, and
You
the
know,
city,
more than 10 tons, you can't drive down Renton
right,
Road.
and the city already indicated last month that there is no ordinance
Yeah.
in reference to that. None that she knew of, and that was Joyce when she was talking. So
Plus the roads are so narrow. you
Right.
see.
yes,
See, and as you go further back, it's unimproved.
yeah.
I thought that the way we had left it last month, I mean, I think what's happening now is you're kind of retracing some action items from last month and saying, okay,
Right
time
off
out.
the,
We want to make sure we stay on top of these. And I think the way it was left off last month was that, okay, yeah, we can go for the ordinance route, we can go for that, and maybe that's a viable route. But in the meantime, maybe a letter to the contractor might get a change in the short term.
clarity.
So that's what I think
That's,
would be.
yeah, that's more clarity to,
Yeah, and obviously, they can say no way or whatever,
Yeah.
but maybe we get relief by January, and by November, there's some law.
yeah.
And so I can help with that.
Yeah, so you gotta have some alternative routes,
Yeah.
because if you come in this way, either you got Geiger or Rented. That's the only two
That's
construction.
the only two in that area.
Yeah, in
And
this
of
area.
course, right now, all the construction is going that way. So, that's, again, maybe we.
Of course.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we told the community that we would write and ask, and so we shall deliver.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I want to do. I want to fulfill that commitment that I took on for that. Okay, let's see. Airport concerns, we talked about that a little bit, and
Yeah, I prefer to have them, well, in fact, last night was the meeting, I was supposed to have had it
right.
on Wednesday night.
Did they have a meeting for Thursday?
No.
No,
But
they did
I
not.
contacted Iroquois Point people, hoping that I could go in that area and try to pass out flyers, announcing the meeting. But then, it was immediate, no way. They said, well, you should go back to your politicians and get feedback from them. I said, no, this is a public meeting. We're looking for real people and our people, so we can have a discussion on the access.
Right.
She said, no, you gotta go back. So I said, well, let me go to the other channel.
Sure.
So that's where it's.
Okay, and like you and I talked, we'll try to address that, later on in the week here. So get that information to me. Pretty much that's all I have in reference to some of the things that I picked up off the minutes. And if you guys here have anything else that you want to bring up in reference to what we need to address, the actual last thing, and of course this is a major event tonight, we're having the public hearing tonight. The public hearing is going to be slated for 30 minutes, okay, from 7:15 to 7:45. So the intent is, with this public hearing, is to approve our at-large request for seats on the board, opposed to the districts that we currently have. We only have 2 districts, but like it was mentioned to me earlier, and of course we've recognized this many different times, the community obviously has grown tremendously, and it's still growing. So the idea of at-large seating is probably a little bit more feasible opposed to everything that's encompassing
gap, changing of the pattern would be viewed.
Okay, I'm not sure if I follow you on that. We did a request for the at-large seat. We had 2 districts, or still have.
Yeah.
Okay. In order to apply for the at-large seat, we had to go in with a request to the commission, in which case they had to go out with an announcement, which went in the newspaper 30 days ago as of, I believe it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. Okay, that was a 30-day notice for the public hearing. Now, what's happening is they're having the public hearing here tonight, slated for the just that 30-minute period to allow people to have input on either keeping it as it is with the 2 districts or opening up at-large seats, which currently is what we're trying to do. Now, at that time, we had a vote, a unanimous vote, actually. I believe it was October meeting, was it? Do you remember? October, I believe it was October.
Yeah.
Okay, unanimous vote to put that request in for the at-large seats. Excuse me.
And the next action step is,
Hello?
I'm not sure what the next action step is, needs to be approved or disapproved.
Yeah, we're outside the door in the
I think
hallway.
we're setting it to the public hearing.
After public
And also
hearing,
for consequences on whoever says what.
That's the gauge.
we voted in favor of it.
No.
That's the gauge of their
Bugs and all that.
decision. So if the public says, yeah, we want to
Okay.
use that large.
All right, there's no vote or any procedure past that. Okay.
Yeah, so that's where we are with that. There's actually no more vote, it's just a public hearing. This board, and I need all the members to be in consensus with this, we need to make sure we control the time frame and all the things that are going on in that public hearing.
Okay. It's set to go from, let me see again, 7:15?
7:15 to 7:45. Yeah.
Speaking of time frame, Olelo's very strict on the hours. 2 hours, 58 minutes, 30 seconds.
Okay, that's tops, I understand. Yeah.
Thank you.
And-
So no matter what, we tried to, in the past, we tried to edit so we can get every voice heard or every body heard. And
Excuse me one second.
yeah, they said we got called on.
You guys got anything?
We're not supposed to edit.
Can discuss?
Only recess
Well,
and
you can
cut off
let
the
me know.
very end. So sometimes we won't see representatives flying.
Okay, yeah,
So-
and we want the representative senator to work. Okay. We'll work
This is
on
just a
this.
matter of controlling the time limit.
I'll make sure Rich catches that.
We were called on it, and I said, we tried everybody,
That's good to know.
every
that.
representative body in there, and we might not get all the rebuttals in there,
Yeah.
but they said you cannot, you've got to edit it at
You
2:58.
made the decision to edit.
Olelo.
Olelo.
So neighborhood commission came to us and says, you guys really gotta control your time on this end, because we only have airtime for 2 hours, 58 minutes, and 30 seconds. Not even the full 3 hours because they put their commercial.
And see, the commission office, do I understand right, they were like, wait a minute, you guys did your best to cut out dead spots, and they said, hold on, you can't be cutting and slicing.
Yes, exactly.
Beginning or end, so
Yeah.
that's good. I want to do better.
So on the average, at what point you get cut off, on the average?
On the average, time, around the time time goes on,
You
we
get
get
a politician's time.
Yeah.
So it's towards,
How much time is it?
I don't know, so if the presenters take longer than 20 minutes, it pushes back everything else, right? Not to say we take off from the presenter, but we want all the different entities in there. And that's what we wanted to do. We want a whole body rather than cut off a whole segment. They said, no, you cannot edit.
So what does that look like, 10 minutes, 20 minutes?
We're actually going over sometimes for another tape, close to 40 to an hour. And that's what slows us down, because we gotta, as kids, we have them in the afternoon, we've got to look at, okay, what is essential? If one person made an argument already, maybe, and they come in for the second time, we take off that last end. But what if that last end was a good, it was that decision. Now it's easier. We just say 2 hours, 58 minutes, and leave. And our turnaround is much faster if that's the case.
Yeah.
so the agenda gotta be so tight that it will be within the time frame.
Yeah.
And the limitation for the
Basically, like, come like right before 10, whatever happens after that's only we know about.
And you remember the previous board, you would say, we table the discussion till, once you know, it's up to.
We got you. We'll maybe have to focus really hard on that starting really soon.
Is that fraction you speak about? I'm still talking.
Okay.
What should I do now? Right there. How can I take that a step further?
Well, once you flashed, it's up to the leader to then say, okay, you've been
Okay,
told.
yeah, 30 seconds, a minute, you got your minute, just prompting people.
Yeah,
Clay can't do any more than flash the time.
you know, this is supposed to be a community meeting, you know, and I think it's as much time as why the agenda has to be controlled.
Yep.
You know, I mean,
Absolutely.
so specific on the topic, and we gotta have the input, you know. So if you limit one presentation and get that argument in there, that'll be, you know, enough public input so that you can make a
Preaching to the
decision.
choir.
So,
But if you get too many presenters,
yeah.
and then you get too many arguments,
Yeah.
then limit
So
everybody
that's
else
what's
that's coming
happening.
after.
That's what you're saying is happening. We have too many
So-
presenters.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. No, that's good feedback.
Because there's no way, I mean, to me, I don't think the public should be kind of held to a certain amount of
I
time,
agree,
you know,
That's why we're here.
because it's a public,
We're not here to
it's
control
a
an
public,
agenda.
public forum,
Yeah.
so that we can,
I agree with you, and I think sometimes Rich feels like he wants to accommodate everyone. We
yeah.
have so many things on the table, you know, especially in the beginning. Now it's starting to taper down. But when we first started as a group, God, man, these people.
Before, even the last board, I mean, the agenda used to be, you know, last until midnight,
Yeah,
so it shouldn't be that way.
okay.
It should be streamlined where, boom,
It's actually, it's truly an improvement. I mean, while there's still always room to go, it's actually a, but it is definitely the big report, or the presentations, because they say 15 minutes, but they're always,
That's not it.
always 30.
that's why, you know, that's why I suggest they come to the committee. You know, you argue in the committee, and then present it to the full board and have a discussion there, and then that's it. If the guy wanna come and make presentations, he won't, you know, at the time, you know, take up a lot of time, you get a lot of input.
Maybe I'll do my report then, I guess. I'll step in for a second, because I want to at least get this in before it gets hectic in here.
Just
Board Chair, Rich, do you mind if I cover OMPO and transportation?
Not at all. We're still in all committees.
Okay.
Please continue, excuse me while I'm,
Yeah, okay,
this is
fine.
our Christmas thing, we're supposed to be recessed.
My wife's bringing something.
so bring the microphone for all.
I think I'm about to do my report. Hang on one second. Okay. So I serve in this capacity on the board as representative to OMPO and also, general traffic and transportation issues. So I think that maybe what's been relevant is here recently I got to deal on public radio with this fella who represents this bus company in Europe who's got a bus that uses wheels, and they're trying to propose to city council that, hey, this can go up on that fixed guideway. And so it was interesting to learn something about that particular technology, and to try to get some sense of whether or not it really was viable, because it all gets really confusing, of course. And it looks like what came out of the calls to the radio program were a lot of confusion. A lot of, they're all the talk of the toll and stuff. Some people are like, I don't want to pay a toll to get on, a bus, and people just don't quite fully grasp what could and is going to happen. And it was intriguing to see. It's neat to learn about the bus, and in theory, because in Ewa we don't really have a station. Maybe that's something we get on and we ride to the closest station in White Pond. And so that's something that's being considered. It might end up that they have to do something at the state legislative level so that you can even consider that. So that's kind of the state of things I've learned with OMPO and some involvement with public radio and their desire to try to get a discussion going about things that could be different. And then the other, I guess that's pretty much the most relevant, since the last meeting, thing that on behalf of the board and the community I've been involved in. The last October meeting, some discussions, and had the same presentation from this bus company. I did go to one of the transit-oriented development meetings in Waipahu, and I think that's something that we'll want to be aware of in this community, is that they're looking for feedback as to what you do at that big train station in Waipahu. It currently does not allow plans for parking, and so we all want to be aware as a community that if we don't have a lot of buses running, or if we don't have parking there, or if we don't have a rubber wheel bus that can run here, it's going to sneak up on us and be an issue.
That station at the rail station in Apollo, the way it's talking about. I went to the first one, and I think it was pretty conclusive that Apollo would be the
What's the stop? Yeah. That's not changing.
But Ewa Beach people has not been involved. They want it from the people.
Right.
They want input, but it's pretty well. They want input as to what they see with that station, not how we're going to improve our getting out of here.
I'm with you. But I think
that's not on the table. What's on the table is how Ewa Beach people see that train station and what improvements can be made around the train station.
But that's the only thing that we can affect. The station
we should affect our input into that. That there should be some kind of consideration as to how we're going to, the train, the lineman is coming down here so we can meet.
Understood.
We can be a part of that train station.
Well, that's
so the route that comes down here has been eliminated where everything goes through Apollo.
Right. So proactively then, what we want to try to consider from a community level is going to be whether or not we get more buses running or adequate parking at that station or something. Or some technology that you can get on
in the
to
earlier
guy
parts where we
have
had
to get off the bus
coming out.
Those are the plays, the way I understand it. So that's
Oh, yeah.
second one. I brought that up and they said, oh, so you're one of the Ewa Beach people. We have a special parking lot for you right here.
Citizen advisory on OPA is only, the one that you gotta watch for is that the one with the politicians here.
I understand. So another issue that's emerging with that agreement is that the federal government is doing said, hey, wait a minute, you guys,
Turn on the camera.
the OMPO decision-making, the officials were not seeking adequate citizen input. So they've been admonished for that. But I don't fully understand yet how you make it.
They gotta make a change. The citizen shall be part of the operation.
But they can pretty much, they decide who tells them what decisions.
The community, they say it's done at the citizen. But again, it's, the final comes up here. The allocation.
They also decide for, in other words, no one at this point, unless they change state law, no one tells them how they have to manage it.
The feds can't. They can tell the people, you gotta reach out to your.
So maybe I'll go back and feedback more to the feds about the lack of I agree. What the problems come from.
Okay, so we got roughly another 5 minutes or so. Any other issues that need to be discussed in the all committee. I apologize for walking out, setting up the
No, Rich,
table.
we were talking about the transportation.
Yeah.
And, starting from citizen advisory.
Yes.
What do you, how do you see yourself as representing the area? I mean, what input should you have?
Well, I mean, as a member of OMPO-CAT, which is the Citizens Advisory Committee to OMPO, we as a group, your speakers, we decide to make motions, we decide things that we will tell OMPO, the elected group. So, I mean, I represent the community, and eventually plant seeds of what we need to do. But that's it, because I'll give you a good example. Recently, this board said, hey, wait a minute, we want OMPO to be, at least encourage the legislature to look at this public-private partnership. Nobody knows nothing about it, just talk about it. So this board said that.
See, when I have more time, I'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, those meetings are very productive, because, you know, you can influence and hopefully, affect change, but.
So it's staying with emphasizing action items. An action item that I will have to this board next month is to report on what the OMPO hired administrative officials, what they were back to us was the answer from office. My question, what is the what can I, as our representative, take time to do this?
That's why we
What
said
is my
that.
exact? Used to be a so
I should have known it was my job.
to see how it's going.
But then we had this.
Neighborhood system.
Oh, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening. All right, we'll be getting started in about 5 minutes or so.
No.
It was kind of greenish.
Elwood,
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah, so you'll have a bus all of them.
Okay, so here's the shot.
And
So you're just using it. You're just using this.
large,
Oh, zoom in and out.
So record.
You were like half a street off, right?
This is how close it is.
This is from Park.
Oh, you're on the other side of the street.
And then we're gonna go by it.
Now it's this way.
So this is your Zoom. We're gonna go on manual focus.
Are we adjourning the all committee meetings?
We are adjourned.
Okay. Excellent. Now I'm not. Be at ease.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Mine is one that doesn't have magazine on it. I was in the process of charging it, and there's like a small pin that goes big. But what it is it's just a brass.
Has 3 to 2 minutes. Just go.
Oh, yeah, I got a daughter in the
And then you start. Is the tape in here?
That's why they put this from me.
Yeah, the grandson stayed in high school.
You know, they gave me, because I had so much trouble with my power down on my phone.
So my daughter's a few months ago, she gave me a new MacBook.
You don't turn it
She
on.
said, Dad, I gotta, she's almost by yourself.
If you're underwater,
Well, I mean, it's great.
Stop the recording.
They got a big, huge grand stage. Oh, okay. So it's fancy. She said, Dad,
You go this way.
oil, man.
Take 2 But of course, don't swing it this way like how I did it. Okay, and back to. Oh man.
Yeah.
So we're always looking at head space as much as just gonna follow. For the most part, if they're in the same room, you don't need to go. Especially if they go there. Sometimes you guys do this.
Yeah, it's
did.
like super.
All you enjoyment
In the
is all
third. Is that way a little bit?
No, don't touch.
Oh, okay.
It's still there, but it's not as much
lot.
We're the primaries.
It's in the third.
This means like 1/3 of the shop.
Oh, okay.
Scott, can we move your camera just a little bit so we don't get in the way?
Inspector, just come in to stop it. You will tell me where you want it. I'll adjust it.
Well, you adjust it so that you don't see us or maybe we don't block a portion.
Yes.
Gotcha. Y'all where you want to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Presentations will be limited to 10 minutes, and follow-up questions and answers will be limited to 1 minute per person, per subject. Okay? And with that, roll call.
Leah Soon,
Here.
Dick Alexander, Ann Atkinson, Gary Bautista, called from Ewa Beach. Mr. Beamer,
Here.
Scott Belford,
Present.
Tom Burr,
Here.
Mr. Dowling,
Here.
Chair Hargrave,
Here.
Mitchell Tanani, 7 members present.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to start off with our reports from the Fire and Police Department. So we're going to go through reports. For those of you that have an agenda, Yep, I got one. Okay. Thank you. Now, excuse me a second. Admin work we got to take care of here. Right over here. There's another one. Our assistant made this error. Okay. Okay, right. A little bit more. Right there. Yes. Okay, Honolulu Fire Department, please. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Firefighter Cole Carl from the Honolulu Fire Department, Ewa Beach Fire Station, and here are the statistics for November 2007. In terms of fires, 1 structure fire, 1 rubbish fire, and 1 vehicle fire. For emergencies, 76 medical emergencies and 20 miscellaneous. There are no major incidents. And the fire safety tip for the month is dried Christmas trees, wreaths, and other natural decorations are extremely flammable. Remove them from your home as soon as possible. Your Christmas tree can be taken to a participating recycling center. Consider leaving fireworks to professionals. Enjoy one of the public fireworks displays on New Year's Eve. Follow all warnings and instructions for the safe use of fireworks. Never give fireworks, even sparklers, to young children. Older children should only use fireworks under the direct supervision of an adult. Any questions?
Okay. Board members? Any questions? No? Community, any questions for each FD? No? Okay, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see, moving right along. HPD, please. How are you doing tonight?
Doing fine, sir. How about yourself?
All right, well, always looking for your support.
You got it. Good evening, everybody, board members. My name is Mike Johnson. I'm Lieutenant with the Honolulu Police Department. And I'm here to report on the crime statistics for the month of November 2007. In the Ewa Beach area, we had a total of 3 robberies, 35 burglaries, 32 thefts, 12 auto thefts, 26 thefts from vehicles, 2 ID thefts. There were 63 car accidents, 3 DUI arrests, 23 cases of property damage, and 3 drug cases. Total of 1,708 cases. The copies of the crime statistics are on the table right outside here. If anyone from the audience would like to get a copy of it to look at, you're more than welcome to. Crime tip of the month is regarding the Live and Let Live program. And the Copley, if you're interested in supporting the Live and Let Live program, they'll be having activities in the Waianae community on December 6th, 11th, 13th, 18th, and 20th, and in Kapolei, December 10th, 12th, 17th, and 19th. Any questions?
Board members? Any questions? Okay. I have one. Reference to the amount of robberies, auto thefts, and I guess that's what's the 32 other thefts? 32.
32 would be all other types of thefts.
All other types of thefts.
Thefts.
Is there any specific areas that are being targeted right now in our area?
They're occurring on, if you look here on the beats, on the top, 874, 875, 76, 77, 79, that'll give you a breakdown of where the thefts, for example. There were 10 thefts in beat 874, which is the old Evittown area. And if you just keep progressing, 875, there were 5 cases in Ewa Beach, Oniola Beach Park, which encompasses Ocean Point, and so forth. 879 only had 3 thefts. The rest were within a difference of 5, no more than a difference of 5 cases.
Okay.
So it's fairly consistent, with beat 879 being the low man on the totem pole, so to speak.
Okay, I appreciate that. I think I've asked in previous months for specific locations. At least we have it identified. Of course, it's coded, so I wasn't understanding the codes there, so I wasn't really sure what they were. Any other board members' questions? Okay, community? Dan?
Hi, my name is Dan Grossi. I just have a brief question. An Ewa Beach resident by the name of Marie York, she wrote an article in the Hawaiian Reporter this week indicating that she was a victim of road rage. And apparently, she was chased by a hostile driver who was making aggressive moves around her. He was driving and pulling up to her and shouting at her to pull over, making threats. And she called the police to do something about that. But apparently, they were not able to catch up with her, or they were not able to find her. And she was in I guess, I don't know the term you use, but she basically had to evade this man on the road for 30 minutes until police finally caught up with her. And they said that they could not do anything about this, that they could not arrest the man that was chasing her, and that this was a matter for the DMV. So my question in this matter is that, first of all, why is it that that man could not be arrested? And second of all, what is being done to prevent incidents like this?
Well, on the latter part, I'll answer first about road rage. I mean, that's something that happens all over the island. It's not restricted to the Ewa Beach area. And it's something that just happens when people get upset. They're upset for numerous reasons. They're upset with the traffic. The traffic's making them late. I could go on for hours for reasons why road rage exists. And it's just people having poor anger management and taking it out on others. As far as what we're doing about it, obviously, if we see anybody engaging in road rage type activity or actions, we're going to stop it. And if an arrest is appropriate or necessary, we will gladly do that. The instant case you're talking about that you mentioned, where she wrote the letter, I haven't read that article. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of that incident. But if the police officers observe somebody acting like that, in general, we're going to effect an arrest. Okay. And that's really all I can say at this point.
Just to follow up on that, is there anything that the individual can do, or is there any guidelines that we should, as individual residents, that encourage that kind of an action, that we can do?
Generally, I would say, if you feel someone's chasing you, drive to a well-lit area, populated area, and call us. If you have a cell phone, get on the phone immediately, and stay on the phone with police dispatch. Oftentimes, people will call us, they're viewing something ongoing, and then they'll hang up. And then at that point, if the suspect goes in another direction, makes a U-turn, or does something else, we don't know. And oftentimes, there's usually a delay between dispatch, police dispatch receiving information and actually being able to put it out over the air. Sometimes it can take up to 1 to 2 minutes, and by that time, obviously, somebody in the car can be a totally different location. And I would imagine that in that instance that the gentleman brought up about the road rage where she was being followed, that the information was constantly, we were constantly 2 or 3 blocks behind her until we were able to catch up with her. And at that point, I believe the suspect had left already.
Thank you.
And of course, if we have the suspect's license plate number, we can do a follow-up and go over and talk to the registered owner of the vehicle, determine who was driving the vehicle, and take whatever actions appropriate.
Scott?
If he had struck her without a witness, would you be able to take action against him?
Yeah, whether there is a witness or not, we can take action on that. At the very least, we'll initiate a police report and refer it to the prosecutors. However, if he's striking somebody with a vehicle, that's probably bordering into a felony type offense, so he's going to get arrested automatically on that.
Okay. Any other board members? Questions? Community? Sir.
Okay, McConta Coleman. I got approached today by a sailor who was driving onto Iroquois Point Highway. He was pulled over by one of their security guards who had used a radar gun to clock his speed. I think he was going like 23 and 21 and 15. They got 15 miles, so a bigger speed limit when you're going there. But they cited him and gave him a ticket for $50 and said you have to pay $50. And I don't know what the rules are. We were trying to figure out what the rules are for private security to have radar guns and use them and issue citations.
That's got to be security hired by Iroquois,
but that's
either
okay.
the housing or
in the housing area.
Yeah. I mean, if there's signs there just posted that says it's private property, and that's entirely up to that association or entity, however they want to enforce whatever rules they want.
Well, because this is general public coming in, it may not be a resident, so if you're not a resident, you come in, the signs don't say fines, it says for speeding, it just says, I know 15 miles, but I used to live there, so it says 15 miles per hour going in. And they didn't put the speed and have you do a lot of, identification. They did say you have to pay $50.
Well, again, that's a private association, and
as far as I know,
yeah,
I don't know of any other agency that is allowed to issue monetary citations other than the police department and the sheriff's department.
Well, it's being done here at Iroquois Point Highway.
When did this happen?
This happened probably a couple of days ago. He just got removed.
And did he actually get a citation?
He got a citation, but I didn't see it. I couldn't bring it to me. I wanted to bring it to the meeting tonight, but.
If you can get that, then we can take a look at it and probably get an answer from that. But as far as monetary fines and I don't know of any private security firm that is authorized to do that.
I'll meet with you immediately afterwards and give you a contact phone number for me, so when you do get the ticket, you can get a copy of it. Between us, we'll take a look at it, figure it out.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other board members? Any other questions from the community? Okay, sir, thank you very much.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Okay, happy holidays. Okay, weed and seed.
Hi, my name is Fumi Moroka. I'm a police officer with the District 8 Weed and Seed Detail. Provided a copy of the stats for the month of November for all the board members, and we have other copies of those stats outside on the table if anybody in the audience is interested in looking at those. And if you have any questions, I can answer them. I'll try and answer them for you.
Board members? No? Community, any questions? Okay, no, very good, thank you, good report, and I understand you guys are doing quite well. All right, thanks again for your support. Okay. Okay, at this time in our agenda, we have scheduled the Neighborhood Commission public hearing for the purpose of filling at-large seats, or I'm sorry, going from our current 2 districts seats for our board members to at-large seats. Okay, so if we can entertain that, Jeanette? I apologize. Okay, thank you. All right, regular meeting is being recessed at this point, and we'll entertain the commission for the public hearing.
My name is Jeanette Nikota. I'm a member of the Neighborhood Commission, City and County of Honolulu, and I'll be conducting this hearing tonight. And again, the purpose is to change this board's request to make the change related to the 2 sub-districts. They're proposing that rather than having 2 sub-districts, their 11 seats will be elected at large instead. This hearing is part of the procedures as defined in section 9.1-3 and 9.2-41 of the Hawaii Revised Statute, and sections 4-105.4, 13-106, and 14-104 of the Revised Charter of the City and County of Honolulu, 1973, 2000 edition as amended. The purpose of this, the notice of this proposal was published in the Honolulu Star Bulletin on November 9, 2007, as required by law. Since that time, copies of the notice and proposals have been available to the public and are at the table at the entrance. Are there anyone who would like to give testimony or comments of the changes of this neighborhood code?
Madam Chair, how long do I have to speak on this topic?
Yeah, 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Well, get the timer.
No, I just want, my name is Glenn Milda. This topic has come up before, and I think it's a good idea just to eliminate the sub-districts and elect everybody at large. I think not only that, I think the number of members that presently sit on a board, which is 11, I think should be increased at least 2 more. 11 to about 13, and that number is a good number. So I think because the population is growing, and I think we're a contiguous community, that the issues and the concerns are interrelated. So I feel that we should be electing at-large seats, with my opinion, addition of 2 more. That's all I have. Thank you.
Are there any other comments, testimony? Okay. If you would like to, you can provide written testimony, and this needs to be received by the Neighborhood Commission office by noon on December 28, 2007.
Madam Chair, has my comments been logged? Mm-hmm. Oh, no, thank you.
December 28, 2007. Okay. And actually, just to respond to what you said, this hearing is for the to change from two sub-districts to at-large seats. So it's this board that would have to come up with, if they want to proceed to add those seats.
Okay, well, you mean an amendment?
No, we cannot do amendment right now, but that
Okay.
would be something that.
So just without the inclusion of 2 more members?
Yes.
That's, I don't know, I think so.
Okay. Any comments?
Is there a availability of this board to endorse the public comment from Glenn, whereby we can make as a board an amendment to this to make it 13 seats?
No, they have to publish it.
The point being is that this would be applicable to the election in 08, correct?
No, 09.
09? So, well, gee, if it's 09, wouldn't there be plenty of time to make an amendment to make it inclusive of
We should go down
13?
to 9 members like the city council, that's how we were. More is miserable.
It's something that the board
Do
needs to
11
take up
and
at a later time. And I think once the commission receives, after December the 28th, if we don't receive any testimonies, we've already received by your board your vote on changing to at-large seats. And I think at that time, then you will turn over to at-large seats.
Well, then my comment is that we are a growing community, and I think it's a very valid one, and that to increase the seats to 13. Thank you.
So you'll be able to fill your seats that are vacant.
Madam Chair, can I take the floor again, recognized?
One per customer.
Okay, but no one else is talking, so. Can we have just an overview of what the membership is like now at the present time of the board? We have 2 sub-districts, and they get elected according to their sub-districts. So could we have a brief overview of what the numbers are within the region?
Sure,
It's 6 and 5. It's divided, and it was previous Chair Favela and others in the community have brought this time and time again at public hearings, and it was deemed to be that 96706 as a zip code should be unified. So this split into sub-districts was to come into unification under that principle of 96706. So with that, does that answer your question? So the dividing line is pretty much Geiger Road, north and south. 6 seats being north of Geiger and 5 being south of Geiger.
So this hearing is now ended. Okay.
Okay, the hearing is ended. Thank you very much, Jeanette. Appreciate you coming out.
Yes. No, you have to reconvene your meeting.
Okay. Okay, the Evan Neighborhood Board is reconvened. I want to thank the Commission for coming out and at least hearing some of the concerns. In reference to Glenn's question, I think that's pretty much answered. And in fact, Tom, I think, reiterated what we are going to do, or what we will entertain, let's say later on, at our board meeting, is the possibility of increase of seats if necessary, or if this board feels like 11, increase or decrease. We'll see what happens. Okay, so moving right along with our agenda. Board of Water Supply. Cal, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Cal Sawioka. For last month, November, we had one water main break on Papipi Road and Iupani Place. For the general water announcement, to accommodate the increase in seasonal holiday traffic around Alamana Shopping Center, work on Kapiolani Boulevard water and sewer system improvement project has been temporarily suspended. The morning and afternoon comfortable lanes at Kapiolani Boulevard has been reinstated and all the construction equipment has been removed from the Kapiolani Boulevard, Atkinson Drive, and Kamakei Street. Construction activity on Kapiolani Boulevard and Kamakei Street will resume on Sunday, January the 13th. For more information about this project, visit www.kapiolaniwatersewer.com. And lastly, on behalf of the Board of Water Supply and all of our employees and family, we wish you a very safe and happy holiday season. And that concludes my report for this evening.
All right, thank you. Board members? Yes. Did you sell your tires?
Pardon me?
Did you sell your tires?
Yes, sir. You're just one week late.
Okay. We had them hanging on the fence. I drove
You were there
by.
for a while, yeah, a long time. I'm
I
selling
thought
my
you were-
tires, so somebody bought it.
All right,
I
I
had
thought
to
they were
roll the
floating
price.
or something. Okay. Any other board members? Questions, concerns? Okay, community, anything for Cal? All right, good report, Cal, and happy holidays to you.
Too.
Thank you. Military, Lieutenant Commander Coleman?
Good evening, Lieutenant Commander Coleman, NC Death Row Harbor. I don't have any new information on the access to Iroquois Point housing. The Admiral is out of office this week, and he'll be back next week, and I didn't get any information on the next meeting for that process. But I did hear from, is he here today? No, I don't see him. But I thought there was supposed to be another meeting from the community. Glenn, did you have a meeting to discuss that issue?
There is.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll address that a little bit, and I'll let Glenn make a comment. The meeting that we were trying to pull together unfortunately did not happen, and at this point, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Glenn and let him explain, because he was trying to coordinate something with the community, and we might need your help in that respect. So we'll be talking.
You know, this was a community effort to gauge the Ewa Beach community and your community and see how they would open up to us to use their beach. So I proceeded to make flyers and to arrange for a meeting hall. And then when I approached the people at Iroquois to be allowed to go in there and pass out flyers to announce a meeting, and the people that run the show in there, they said, no, that's a no, you can't do that. So they say, well, you go to your politicians because they got all the angles. So I said, no, we just want a community meeting. So I didn't want to argue with her. I just told her that we'll proceed, at a different level. So that's where it's at now.
So possibly what you need from the Navy then is for me to go back to my point of contact and have them approach the management over in the housing for community support or management support to get into that area so that you can have a
I think
meeting.
her name is Carrie Polk.
Yes.
P-O-L-K.
Right.
Is that
She's one of the managers, but they have someone higher than her.
Well,
Steve Coleman.
she didn't lead me to anybody, but her attitude right away was, no, you can't do that.
So anyway, what I talked to Glenn earlier.
Yeah, so
I'll go ahead and address that.
we're gonna try to work together to see if we can have a general meeting.
Right. So what the intent was is more or less because of Iroquois Point, just for everybody's information, Iroquois Point is part of the community, and we want to make sure that we're hearing the concerns of the total community and not a separated piece. Okay, and that's really the idea. So of trying to at least formulate a meeting so we can hear those concerns if there are any. Maybe there is none, and maybe that's, what their answer is just that. But ultimately, I think what we need to do, possibly with your help, maybe we just need to get together and coordinate something, maybe make a visit and see if we can put something together. Again, just to hear their concerns. Okay. Board members, any other comments, concerns? Everybody's in a holiday mood, I can tell. Okay, community, any concerns with the commander? All right, thank you very much. And you have a good holiday. Thank you. Okay, continuing on, item 6, board business, review and acceptance of the regular minutes from November 8th. Comments from the board, please?
No, I make a motion to approve the.
Okay, wait, you got a comment over here.
I have a request, page 9 of 9. Questions, answers, and comments. It's 3.6 billion. Please replace miles with the word billion. The rail's gonna be funded at 3.6 billion through the year 2030 ORTP.
One a year, that was it.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, thank you. Any discussion? No? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on. Treasurer's report, Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Treasurer's report builds on last month. We have again expensed $150 for video taping, leaving the current balance at $1,900. Our operating account expenses were $50.13, leaving a balance of $3,418.68. There is no further information to report other than the $120 in the entertainment refreshment budget is still there in the preservation of the public's good trust.
All right, thank you, Scott.
I make a motion to approve the report subject to audit.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Approval for subject to audit. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. Let's see. C. Conduct of the board, Vice Chair, Tom?
We have a timekeeper tonight, Clay. Be cognizant of that, and your minutes describe the agenda tonight, rather the conduct, and we're all to be respectful of that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move right into announcements. We have the All States Foundation, Live and Let Live, Jim. And thanks for coming out tonight, Jim.
Evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Jim Moylan. I operate an Allstate agency in Ewa Beach, and today I'm here to represent the Allstate Foundation. The foundation has, for over 70 years, provided communities like ours with fundings for special projects that help keep our area safe. One campaign that's starting out is the Live and Let Live campaign. And tonight I'd like to make a check presentation on behalf of the Allstate Foundation. If I can ask the Weed officers and coordinator Gail to come on up, please. The Live and Let Live campaign has been going for over 20-some years on the leeward side of the island. It started in Waianae and it's moved on to Kapolei and Ewa Beach now. You may notice the static displays of the crash cars on the trailers at different locations. The one specifically for Ewa Beach is on Fort River Road, right in front of the hospital. It's a great place for that. And our officers and especially Weed folks here tonight have been very helpful in keeping this campaign alive and getting it going. It has, from my understanding, made a difference in reminding folks not to drink and drive during the holiday seasons. So on behalf of the Allstate Foundation, I'm very pleased to present this check for $5,000 to the Live and Let Live campaign to the Ewa Weed personnel.
Great.
Can I have
very much. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jim. All right, we have Shireen Saito Tam. Another announcement, WEDC donation. Wow, you guys scored.
Yeah, it's Christmas come early for Weed and Seed. As you folks know, Weed and Seed does a lot of different activities for our community, making it a much better place to live. And tonight, on behalf of the Haseco Training Fund, we wanted to present them with $10,000 in support of their culinary arts program in particular, to help make sure that
Okay, so we're on Sundays now. Change your calendars. Okay, moving right along.
Mr. Chair, can I throw in one announcement to that?
Absolutely, go ahead. This is the holiday spirit, too.
This is for those of you in the TV audience who want to watch but can't always catch up. And for those of you in this audience, I've been recording our meetings for this thing called YouTube. So you go to youtube.com/SCTINC, Sam Charlie Tango, Indigo Nancy Charlie. And you'll see last month's meeting and this month's meeting and other relevant meetings, anything that I'm involved with in capacity of our neighborhood board OMPO rep. So a lot of really good stuff there. There's this thing called citizen journalism that makes it possible for everyone, including you in the TV audience, to watch this anytime.
Okay, thank you. Any other announcements?
I would just like to say that I noticed that your camera, Scott, does not turn, so it's focused only on you.
I gotta get around the camera.
Incorrect. We got to work around the camel camera there. You just watch and say, you're there.
What we'll do is we'll move the board members this way, so everybody can get in there. Okay. Okay. Item number 8. Moving on in our agenda. Public generated concerns. Anything from the public at this point? Okay, nothing. Board members, you got any comments? Anybody? Oh, I'm sorry, it's not
He's not from the community.
He's not from the community.
We're all family.
Sorry,
here.
Gary.
We're all family here.
At the
Come
beach
on.
side, you gotta.
Let him go, Chair.
We're at large. Go ahead, Gary.
Gary Omori, I'm with the Honolulu High Capacity Transit Corridor Project. I'm just here to request that we be placed on your January 10th agenda. And this is in regards to the City Council Resolution number 07-376, Council Draft 1. I'd like to discuss this with you people and be placed on the agenda. I have a copy of it here.
Okay, Gary, that sounds good. What I'd like to do is, if you can send us an email or maybe call the NOLA or commission.
Yes.
Agent. Anyway, okay, I'll get the exact names right. Okay, if you can make contact with her, then we'll do some corresponding and we'll see if we can get you on in January. I don't see a problem at this point.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the community?
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Oh, absolutely. Did you bring a present? Okay. Any other concerns, community concerns? Okay. Let's go into unfinished business. Now, before I hit on that, I'd like to have a small disclaimer, and then I'm going to have Tom Berg, and he'll give us an update. We're talking about the D.R. Horton Ho'opili housing, an update. It's been brought to our attention that the presentation made back in February 07, no action was taken at that time. So after reviewing the minutes from that era back in February, I concur and realize that this may be an important issue for our community residents.
It's not my intent to open a major discussion, but only to identify the concerns of the community and present those concerns to the proper state department for resolution. Okay? At this point, I'll have Tom. Thank you.
This is for the community. Anybody that wants to make comment?
Very briefly, I'd like to make a motion requesting the State Land Use Commission to include the request that the east-west connector road be open to public use prior to development. This is a motion so that we can continue discussion.
Wait a second, I got a question. I don't mind reviewing D.R. Horton and stuff, but is there anybody here from D.R. Horton? And where's Willie? He works for them. I don't think we should review it unless we have somebody from them. I don't like them, but I would give them the opportunity to...
Chair, I think it's important I respond to number one. If I know a statement to be incorrect, I think I have to say something about it. Willie does not work for D.R. Horton, so your statement is incorrect. Number two, this is merely not necessary that D.R. Horton even be here for a presentation. They have the opportunity to read an agenda. They're on the mailing list. If they want to be here, they could be here. And I don't think it's necessary. And my minute's not up. And what I'm talking about here is making a simple motion to offer discussion so that we in the community can make I think, resolve to this and provide some comment to the State Land Use Commission. If you feel that it's necessary to have a 10, 15-minute presentation by D.R. Horton in the future again, then I'm not against that either.
I got a question. Senator Sparrow doesn't work for them anymore?
No, he doesn't.
Oh.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
I like him now.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I'm in construction.
How can a guy stand in front of the community when he works for a representative and be a front for a developer? That doesn't make sense at all. And I resent that fact that you come up before us, the community, and present Horton's plan. When you, in fact, work for a representative, isn't that a conflict of interest? I mean, the community realizes that we got problems in these areas. And now you conform to a developer plan and present it to the community? That's shameful. Mr. Chair.
All right. Point well taken, Glenn. Yeah, let me handle this. Scott?
As I understand it, the community has always asked that we address development before it's too far underway, and I think that was the extent of this. It's something about a road being in place before development, and last time I checked, that's a thing the community had cried out for, so I personally support at least discussing. But that's my thing.
Let me add, I don't mind discussing the road. Give you a road any day of the week, but don't include a presentation on D.R. Horton or Peely Housing. I will second your motion for the request of the State Land Use Commission to do that. But other than that, we don't discuss the project.
I agree.
All right, second motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. You want to continue now?
Yes, thank you.
No presentation.
No presentation.
There is no presentation.
As indicated, let me just interject this. As indicated when I first opened this up, I agreed to allow you to talk about this, again, not to make a major discussion out of it, but the idea is that the action was not closed or nothing was taken back in February. So we're just looking at it in that respect.
Right, right now, Mr. Chair, I have the floor.
He comes before
Mr. Chair, I seek the floor.
Mr. Chair, you allow him to come before the community and make a developer's presentation. That's not a water. That's not a water. He should have gone to the committee if he wanted to make a presentation. Go to the committee, but don't come before the public.
Glenn, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Actually, I think that it would behoove this committee and the community to put them back on to the agenda for a full presentation and a vote by the board. I mean, it may be too late position. But I think the community would like to be on record of supporting or not supporting the development, and they did not have that opportunity last time they were here.
Mr. Chair, may I please respond to a comment that accused me of working for a state representative and making vocal comments on behalf of D.R. Horton? That's an incorrect statement, Mr. Chair.
I understand what you're saying.
That's a very offensive statement.
Okay, we're not going there, and if we continue to go there, I'll cancel this whole thing. Okay? So let's adhere to what we discussed earlier and to the statement that I made. And personally, I believe that Ann may have a valid point.
If I can, I made a motion. It's been seconded. I haven't even exhausted a minute to explain the antecedents to this so that it can be made clear in the minutes. I'm merely asking to make a couple of comments after I opened up with a motion.
Make your comments.
Thank you. I'm looking at an agenda of February that a meeting was held in Kauai. I'm looking at an Oahu notice that said public comment due on April 9th for the EIS notification. I merely have asked, since these times of these public notices, that the Ewa Neighborhood Board entertain it. And I've spoken about this as a chair of the Legislative Committee for over 2 years on East-West Connector Road prior to D.R. Horton taking possession of that estate of James Campbell land. It was an effort of mine and others in this community, of which it was passed unanimously in the record, in the minutes, that the Cane Hall Road, now known as the East-West Connector Road, that this Cane Hall Road be open to public use. That has been the effort of this board and community, and I'm merely just bringing that to a closure. And I find it unfortunate that because I do work for a state representative, that that's been found to be impropriety. I disagree.
I agree.
Okay, Scott?
Is there an issue because there's census, there's no representation from D.R. Horton? Because there is representation. Dean Ochita and Dean had stood up to be recognized. Well, he stood to be recognized, but we got out of control before we maintained the civility to see why he stood up.
All right, we're back in control. Hold on. Okay, are you finished?
I mean, I'm not sure where we're going, but we have some really very adequate representation. This wishes to be, if we wish to discuss this to some extent, and we put it on the agenda. I think this gentleman's taken time out of his schedule to be here with us.
Well, my name is Dean Uchida. I'm the Vice President with D.R. Horton Schulhomes. My project is the whole Peely. I came tonight because I saw this on the agenda. Nobody contacted us. Nobody said what was going to happen. Nobody told us anything. So the action that we did in February was basically informational. And if you'd like an update, we're in the process of finishing up our EIS. We had some slippage on the timing because it's the first EIS being done, master planning for transit. And the transportation planning for that is very difficult. We brought these people from the mainland now. That's why it's taking us a little bit longer to finish the transportation part of the EIS. But it should be out on the street probably in January next month. Once that happens, we'll be more than happy to come and do a briefing for the neighborhood board again. There'll be a public comment period on the EIS process that we'll notify you well in advance of. We'll notify you how you can get a copy of the EIS. We want to keep the dialogue open. We want to be responsive to whatever concerns the community has. And it's really kind of questioning why, if you have us on agenda, why somebody just couldn't pick up the phone and just call us and we would have been here. So, I don't want to get into any kind of finger pointing, but we're not here to try and hide anything. We're here to try and show you what we're trying to do, answer your questions, discuss the concerns, and try and address the community issues.
Okay. Sure. Okay, just 1 second. Okay, I understand that, and I do apologize for not getting information out to you about this particular piece on their agenda. However, as indicated when I first opened the situation up, that it was trying to get a closure to the February briefing. Now, apparently no action was taken during that time, and that's why I agreed to look at that, or at least hear part of it. Okay, so Jeff.
will you build that road first? And your company's strong enough, you're financially strong to build it first? Yes or no? Easy. Yes or no? That's what we're talking about here tonight.
I tell you the truth, okay? With transit coming in, we don't know how we're gonna build this thing out. The transit throws a whole different dynamics to the whole equation of how we're gonna build out.
You know the King Road we're talking about?
Right, I know what you're talking about. But the problem is, you know, with transit, you wanna build, the transit is gonna succeed with density, right? You need higher density around the transit stations. As the city's building the transit, what do? We're not gonna build the high density stuff while transit is being built. We have to wait for that transit stations to be built before we can build the high density. So it's a struggle right now when we're working with the city. Where's the transit stations going to be? Where's the alignment going to be? All of those things factor into how we're going to design and build our whole thing. And that's the truth.
All right, we'll give him till February. It's a no, is what it is.
Okay.
But listen,
One
I'll
second,
call for
Glenn.
the question
I'll give you.
on that motion. And that's all we have to do, and he can come back on February. That's all we have to do. That's all we make a motion on right there, sir, okay?
I was just going to give a piece of point of order for informational purposes. There's no application here, but what we have is Hunt Properties, and DHHL got $17.2 million, and we'll have by the year 2015 East-West Connector Road going from the north-south road to a cornfield, and the motion on the table is merely to just take and tie in Hunt development, DHHL development, and be a party to that development, whereby in 2015 the road actually works for all of us and it goes somewhere and it connects the Fort Weaver Road Corridor to the North-South Road Corridor. And that's pretty much as simple as I can make it.
Mr. Chair.
Okay. Hold on.
And the
Hold on.
Farrington Highway.
All right. Let me.
I really want to link the projects all together.
All right. Hold on.
What I'm saying is, for
Glenn,
the initial process.
Glenn, please. First of all, there was a nomination. It was seconded. There was a call for the question. Let me finish that. I'll let you make your statement. Okay. Call for the question, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay, clarification. I'm sorry. I'm sorry again. Yes. Okay.
Right here, it says, requesting State Land Use Commission to include the request that the East-West Connector Road be open to public use prior to development. How come help you build homes free if you do that? I'm a partner in the union.
Okay, that is
that road, I'll be there.
All right, that's the motion that's on the floor, and this is the question that we're calling for. Any other confusion at this point? Okay. Go ahead.
Claire Soon. Jeff Alexander.
You guys believe I say yes to that?
Ann Atkinson. Yes. Mr. Beamer. Yes. Mr. Balford.
I think I need to abstain to do more information, some of the language is confusing.
Mr. Burr.
Yes.
Mr. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. Tenali.
Okay.
Mr. Harvey.
Yes, and we need to pause at this point. The camera needs to rewind, and we may have to do the vote again.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
The line for you on that.
Oh, yes. Okay, we're back on live over here at Ewa Neighborhood Board. Okay. I gotta wait for my NA right now. Hold on. Okay, we finished with the roll call, right? Okay. Okay. Okay, 8-2. Okay, 8-0 and 1 abstention was the vote on this this particular action pass. Okay, thank you very much, Tom. Moving right along. Unfinished business. Parks and Recreation Committee. Resolution update. Play us soon.
On December 4th, Parks and
you need a mic?
Parks and Recreation had a meeting. On December 4th, the Parks and Recreation had a meeting and discussed the proposal resolution that we put forth. Chair Hargrave, could you give a brief background about what our resolution was, and then I'll go over that.
Okay, just.
All right, just to bring everybody up to speed, if you remember back in October 2nd, I believe it was. October 2nd, we submitted a resolution to the Parks and Recreation Board for the city for them to look at all the parks in 96706. The resolution included a number of different requests. One, of course, was the operating hours, enforcement of posting the hours, enforcement of the posted hours, also looking at full-time workers for the parks, and the maintenance of the parks. So this is the results of our resolution that we submitted to the Parks and Recreation Board. They were kind of receptive, so I'll turn this over to Clay again.
Okay, as for the results of the meeting, of the 7 parks within our zip code, 4 were approved as written. 2 parks were approved, but they modified the times and extended the hours from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And there's 1 park, that would be Hellbush, which is still under discussion, and that's for legal clarification of time periods requested, because they were concerned about preventing regular users from gaining access if our regular users wanted it. As far as our enforcement of these park hours, they're going to post signs and which will enable the police to enforce it because everything's posted now. Okay? As far as park personnel, for the 7 parks, there are 4 full-time city workers that care for these parks. 1 of the 4 takes care of 3 parks, and that's how they cover it. And we looked, they discussed community, almost like a adopt a park type of thing, where if people in the community wanted to take over the park, they would provide the trash bags or whatever we would need to accomplish that task. But they would like for us to identify the people, someone in charge to go ahead and take care of all of that. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Clay. Now, go ahead.
Can I ask questions of Clay?
Sure, go ahead. That's 1 minute, right?
Yeah. Okay. The 1 park, Hellbush, we had the resolution I met, as I recall, stated no time limit, no ever think of being closed. Now they have second thoughts about that, or what?
No, let me clarify for you. I was actually at the meeting. I asked Clay to read this out because he is part of our Parks Committee. Okay, the situation in Hellbush. We actually identified in our resolution operating hours from 05 a.m. Open operating hours 05 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's originally what we had put into the resolution, which everybody saw. In fact, we voted on at the time that we submitted that resolution to the Parks and Recreation Board. Their concern was only on that specific time period, like you just stated, they wanted to make sure that users, regular users of the park, would not be limited to any specific time. As an example, let's say Murphy's Rule, if you will, somebody may come up and say, hey, 2 o'clock, I'd like to go fishing. How can I get in there? That kind of thing. And this is what they're looking at right now on the legality of that. And they will come back. I'm talking about the Parks and Rec Board, will come back to us, letting us know what their decision is. Now, if we feel that this time frame that we established on the resolution that we submitted is not adequate, and maybe we need to address that again. But I'm not going to hold up a process. I want to get the city moving on this stuff. That's my biggest thing. And I think we've taken a leap here, a real big leap for this community.
I thought on the original proposal that came from the community, and there were members that are Henry Chang-Wo and members of the board that were on the committee. And I think we had stipulated no time that the park will ever be closed. For no time at all, whether it's 9 to 5 or 8 to 12 or whatever it is. We specifically, according to the community, wanted no closure, no time limits at all.
Understand. And a point well taken there. Henry?
We got a group, my name is Henry, we got a group that already adopted Hallbush. So you can work with us on that.
Okay, and that sounds good. In fact, that's exactly where the city is leaning. Now, let me just address this real quick. The Adopt a Park program is something that the city had come up with, and their idea is to allow community residents surrounding the individual parks that use that, or different organizations and or groups that use that park on a regular basis, to take some ownership. Work with the park personnel, the full-time park personnel, to make sure that it's well maintained. And now, through that, what the city has, the city director for parks has opened up to us, and not just us, pretty much all the parks around the state, or on Oahu anyway. What he's opened up to us is that they will supply materials to assist with keeping the maintenance up on the park. Now, what we have to do is we have to utilize a POC for that particular park, those different organizations that may be using that park, and coordinate with a full-time worker to receive those supplies and get that work done. As an example, volleyball teams, baseball teams, basketball teams, whatever. Those particular groups that go in and use that park will partner up with that full-time worker to make sure that that park is taken care of. Now, if the situation with Howell Bush has already been adopted, so to speak, we need to make sure that that full-time worker is in contact with whoever that point of contact person is for that group, to make sure that maintenance is upkept for all the parks that we have in the area. That was the intent of this resolution, to get some meat into the program and hopefully address the issues that we need to get our parks clean. We need to have them maintained, and in order to do that, we have to partner with them, and or the city will partner with the communities to do that.
That's it, Rich.
What time? Okay.
No, I'm not to speak for Rich here.
Rich Hargrave, if I could be recognized. Thank you. Clay Assume, thank you for that wonderful report. It's glad to hear it. That it sounds like you've done a lot of research and you have a very caring thoughts to share with us. I'd like to say that I'm somewhat bewildered about the undetermined time for the park, but I believe that it should be regular park hours like every other park. I don't know why there's a special need for it to be open 24 hours. I wonder, I'm hearing that certain folks are securing the park, but I'm not hearing the neighborhood security watch, I'm not hearing citizen patrol, I'm not hearing working with law enforcement. I feel like I need to say that, to express my opinion, because I don't think that the vocal minority should always be in control of the situation.
Okay, point well taken. Let me just make one last comment, hopefully last comment on this. The The resolution that we put together addressed many different actions. This is the first step, and being the first step, the city is willing to work with us to make sure that we get things going. I think that we've actually, like I said earlier, taken a leap. We have 7 parks in our community. 6 were okayed by the city as pretty much as written, with the exception of amendment to time on 2 parks. And the issue is making sure that we have posted hours so that if there is a problem in the park, HPD has an enforcement tool that they can remove people from the area. And that's really what it's about. Now, in reference to some of the other, one second, in reference to some of the other areas that you talked about, with neighborhood security watch programs, other types of policing action or something like that, that might be step 2. But let's get past this first step and get our foot in the door, so to speak, so we can have the city to work with us to resolve some of our situations.
Mr. Chair, the concern about security, I think it's a negotiable issue with the community and the city. But we got things in place if they want to address that issue. The community has something in place that would address
absolutely
the city's concern. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Glenn. Appreciate it. Any other board members, comments,
Board
questions?
Hargrave, if I could be
1 second.
recognized, I'd like to say who is the community and who do we contact?
Colby. Just a little respect, please.
Who is the community
Colby.
and who do we contact?
Colby.
Do I contact you?
Colby.
We haven't negotiated with the city yet.
Okay. Board members, any comments or concerns?
Let's move on, or I'll start saying stuff.
We don't want that.
We'll talk about it.
Move on.
All right, we're moving. Okay, Clay, thank you for that very good report. And we are, again, moving in the right direction for this. We'll address different issues as they come up, one step at a time. Let's just work it. Okay, moving right along. New business. We have UH West Oahu zone change request. Grant? I'm sorry? Update, I'm sorry. All right, we got a little presentation going on, so we may have to shift some of the board members. We'll see.
Sure. Do they want us to vote on it? This is outside of our district. We don't need this.
This presentation is for informational purposes.
Informational. Yeah, and we really need the audience to see it. We can adjust.
All right.
Move that mic out of the way.
Okay, I'm going to do this a little low tech. I had brought my PowerPoint, but I didn't have enough time to set up.
I didn't have enough time to set up, so this is going to be a little low-tech presentation, but we have all the same graphics that we have for the PowerPoint. Good evening, Chair Hargrave and the rest of the neighborhood board members. My name is Grant Murakami. I'm a principal at PBR Hawaii. We're the agent for the University of Hawaii, West Oahu, for a zone change and PRU application that's before the city and county of Honolulu. The zone change and PRU application was submitted to the city and county of Honolulu in late October, early November, and the city sent you folks copies of the 2 reports, and this presentation is for informational purposes to provide you with some information on the application and also to answer any questions you may have regarding the applications that were submitted to you. I'll just go over real quickly the location of the UH West Oahu site right now. This is the 500-acre property here. The H1 freeway runs along here. Farrington Highway is located here, right north of the property. The proposed north-south road will run down along the eastern edge of the 500-acre property. Kapolei Parkway will extend through here. D.R. Horton's whole PUD lands are located in this area here. DHHL's East Kapolei Parcel 2 development is here. The East Kapolei Parcel 1 is located here. DLNR owns land to the north of the property, as well as D.R. Horton and DLNR. So again, this is the 500-acre property, and then Kapolei Golf Course, the villages of Kapolei are to the west of the property. This graphic here on the right side shows the 500-acre property and our master plan for the 500-acre property. Of the 500 acres, approximately 202 acres, this area in here, will remain under University of Hawaii, as University of Hawaii lands. The other 298 acres in this area here, south on the southern portion of the property, will be sold to a private developer. Of the 202 acres, this area here, which is 135.9 acres, are subject to the PRU application. And the PRU is a plan review use application. It's required for university and college uses only. So even if we may have some student housing in our mixed-use village here, we have to just zone this land but not include it in the PRU area because it can only be used for campus university-related uses. So what we have in the plan here on the university's lands, in the northern portion of the property is a university village or a mixed-use village in this area here and an electrical substation. The campus area is again the 135.9 acres in this area here. And there's another campus expansion mixed-use multifamily parcel located in this area here. For the private development lands, they are proposing medium-high density residential in this area here and here, mixed use in these two areas along the entry road, what's called the East-West Connector Road here that connects with North-South Road, another mixed-use parcel here, some medium density residential in this area here, medium low density residentials here, low density residential in this area down here. There's also an elementary school here on the site and two parks and a detention area and an electrical substation here. Access to the property off of North-South Road and off of Farrington Highway. For North-South Road, there are 4 access points shown, 2 major access. This one here ties in right at the gap between D.R. Horton and DLNR lands. That's right in this area here. Another major access is what's termed the East-West Connector Road, and that would connect up to HHL's lands in here and extend eastward. There are also 2 proposed right-in, right-out access points, these 2 areas here off of North-South Road. Off of Farrington Highway, we have 3 access points, one here, another one here, and another one here in the private development lands. The total unit count for this project is 4,000 units. I wanted to talk a little bit about what the proposed zoning will look like so you can understand what's proposed in the application. Again, this is the 202-acre university lands. The 135.9-acre PRU area is shaded in here. And we're supposed to propose an underlying zoning within there. So what we're proposing is BMX3 for this entire area here, which is business mixed use. And we feel that use is appropriate for the campus as well as the mixed use village. Another BMX3 parcel is shown here and in this area here within the private development lands. And those correspond with the mixed use designation that they showed by the East-West Connector Road. Other uses include A2, which is an apartment zone for this area here, here, and here. R3.5, which is a small lot, duplex type of zoning for this area here and here. And then single-family residential zoning in this area here. This here shows the PRU area and what's proposed within the 5-year master plan. The PRU is a 5-year master plan, so even if the entire campus development is for a time frame beyond 5 years, what we're required to do in the PRU is show a 5-year master plan. And these are the buildings that are proposed within the 5-year master plan, which is a total student count of 2,750 students. I'll go over it real quick. The Toloi Gulch will become a greenway system, a pedestrian walkway system that will connect up from the mixed-use village and the residential huntlands to the south, and will tie in to the campus core area. At the campus core area, we have a campus center, administration building, community services building, and library facilities right at the core around the green open space. Surrounding that and off to the west are the classroom facilities and then all the operations and maintenance facilities here. There's also student housing proposed and along Farrington Highway and the extended stay facility shown here as part of the mixed-use village. So that kind of covers my presentation. If there are any questions, I think I'm be willing to entertain them now.
Okay, thank you, Grant. Board members, any questions? Jeff?
Okay, that's the 5-year plan.
2,750 students, 5-year master plan is shown here.
So when is it going to expand?
The time frames that we have for the campus, for the 2,750 students, that's a 2014 target date. And then 2025 is when they're targeting the 7,600 student campus. So that's what's covered in the zoning.
Okay. Any other board members? Okay, I have one. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
The north-south.
The north-south road at Farrington Highway is going to be a traffic signal. And I've harped on this with these board members over and over. Thank you for being here. Would you please consider what it would take? Right now, it's pretty much dedicated and planned. But if there were to be an overpass where we don't need, in other words, Cunilla Road goes over Farrington right now. Imagine everybody if that was a traffic signal on Fort Weaver Cunilla at Farrington. This has much more development than that intersection. This has got the Kroc Center. This has got DHHL. Besides, a 4-year campus. And then there's all this housing to come on with Hunt, and you name it. That intersection to be a traffic signal when it's a cornfield today, would you help out the University of Hawaii Manoa campus? There's a professor there of civil engineering named Dr. Panos Pevederos. He has brought forward the fact that that intersection, you could actually do an overpass. And it would be great to put your minds together with UH Manoa and not put a traffic signal to serve this campus.
Yes, and I even zoom in on you.
With the Westfall project. Your point is well taken, and I think when you look towards 2015 and so forth, we need to take a look at that. And the issue right now is everybody's focused on transit. So the improvements to Farrington Highway are going to follow once the route of transit is determined. Because initially they were thinking that transit was going to be along Farrington Highway. So we have had discussions with the city with respect to the ultimate improvements of Farrington Highway. And one of the ultimate improvements will be a flyover, so to speak, of Farrington going over North-South Road. But that's down the road sometime.
All right, thank you. Sounds like he's trying to address it. Okay, any other board members? Okay, community, any comments?
I got one.
Henry?
You got 3 outlets going to Farrington Highway. Are you going to improve Farrington Highway too?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you folks going to improve Farrington Highway? Because the North-South Road is no good to me now with all the houses coming up.
Well, you know.
And that outlet going out to Farrington Highway, 3 outlets, I think the road is too small right now.
Well, again, we've had, I think, Councilman Apo did have a meeting at the City Hall several months ago to talk about all of the roads and the improvements with respect to this area. And Farrington Highway is an issue, but again, you know, the city has told us that they're waiting to determine how transit is going to impact Farrington and North-South Road before they take up any design improvements to Farrington Highway. Furthermore, I think the university did submit a letter to the city requesting that both Farrington Highway and the East-West Connector Road be given priority with respect to the use of the impact fees that, you know, when I believe they'll be reviewing that next year to determine the priorities for improvements in the area. So Farrington Highway and East-West Connector, we've asked that, you know, consideration be given to those two roads early on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good deal, thank you.
I want to ask one question.
Okay, Glenn?
You know, with all the land that the state has, the purpose of clustering houses around the campus, what was the original idea of clustering houses when you got all that land you can spread out the campus? Was it for financial, to finance the UH, or I know the state is not a developer. I'm going to be a developer. You guys are intending to be a developer.
My name is Gene Oakley. I'm chancellor at UH West Oahu. Just to take you back historically about this site, the original plan was to sell the entire 500 acres, Makai of H1, to fund the campus Mauka of H1. So we decided that we didn't want to do that, and also because the cost of building the campus Mauka was going to be prohibitive. We couldn't do it. There's no money. The only way that the system and really the state has supported this project is if we could leverage the $35 million of CIP that we received by raising revenue through either the sale or the lease of the land. And that's why we decided that we were going to sell the 298 acres, control the design and the density in the area through a partnership, and also build some student housing and faculty housing for our workforce. So Grant mentioned 4,000 units, but you got to remember that a large number of those units are for students and for faculty. The actual density in the private residential area is much lower than that. It's in a little over 2,000 range.
So once you guys, you're going to search, you're going to be a developer, or you're going to find somebody that will take over the project and run the project as a private, or is the state going to control much of the housing?
Yeah, we're selling it. There's a land transaction that we've already signed with the private developer, Hunt Construction Company. They're developing the retail residential site. We're building through joint ventures, the student housing as well as the faculty housing. With the $135 million that we have, or will have at closing, we're going to do an RFP, hire a general contractor, and build the vertical construction of the campus.
But it seems
Okay,
to be...
let's follow on, Glenn. We got to move on. Okay. John?
John Goldner with Representative Kimberly Pine. I just want to echo what Tom Berg said with the intersection of North Road. We ask you to please consider making that a flyover initially, and we'll probably be in contact with you. Our office will be to ask for something more than we will consider that down the road. As you're aware, we're in a traffic crisis here on the Ewa Plain, so we're just asking you to please consider making it initially a flyover and not an intersection.
Well, I understand your concern, but the issue is Farrington Highway is a county road, and they have jurisdiction with respect to Farrington Highway. So, you know, we can ask and suggest and help plan, but the issue lies with the city.
Our office is willing to help you in whatever ways necessary to make that happen.
Okay, good deal. Thank you. Any other comments, questions, real quick? All right. Thank you, Grant. Good presentation. Okay. And happy holidays to you guys. And I'll come back in. Okay, moving right along. We have Randy Ching. Is Randy Ching here?
Yeah, right here.
Okay, there you go. Randy is going to give us a bicycle safety resolution, another presentation. Thank you.
This resolution is for bicycle safety. It's been approved at about 9 or 10 other neighborhood boards, and it's just basically because the group I represent, which is One Voice, we're trying to encourage bicycle riding, and no one's going to get on their bicycle if it's dangerous. So, one of the things we like to see is motorists be a little bit more considerate of our residents here who ride bicycles. There's 10 or 11 points there on the resolution. I'll just tell one story about myself, which is kind of the point, is that I've asked a lot of people, I belong to Eachfield, the White Bicycling League, and I've asked a lot of people why they don't ride their bicycles. And the number one reason by far is no one feels safe, or very few people feel safe riding their bicycles. I ride my bicycle essentially every day, and I've had a lot of close calls. I'm still here. But one time I was riding my bicycle without my helmet. This woman opened the car door, the bicycle stopped, I didn't. I went over my handlebars down on the top of my head, and very lucky I survived. So a lot of people know about these incidents and accidents, and what we like to see is a lot more people riding bicycles, especially because I left my apartment this evening at about 6:35, and I live in town. I got here at 7:50 something, and I don't know if that's typical, if that's normal, but you know, really, I think because more and more people are living out here on the Everplain, unless we encourage alternate forms of transportation, I think cars aren't going to happen. I mean, it's bad now, and I can't imagine what it's going to be like 10 years from now. So anyway, we'd like to see all the neighborhood boards sort of endorse this resolution, just so that people will feel safe to ride, and then more people will be riding. I personally am a advocate for the Leeward Bikeway. If you've heard of it, it's that bikeway along the old Oahu Railroad and land right away. It's basically Westlock to Nanakuli. It's approximately 18 miles. The money has been appropriated. It's approximately $15.5 million for phase one. Planning has been done for phase one. It's now in design, and the city has actually already built part of it from Westlock to Waipahu Convenience Center. If you've ever ridden on that bike lane, that's actually something the city did while waiting for the state to move on the Leeward Bikeway. The Leeward Bikeway is one of the top priorities on the state bicycle master plan, and it's actually made the TIP on the OMPO plan, the Transportation Improvement Project. So that's it. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, fantastic. Good. Maybe hold on a second. Board members, you guys have any comments, questions? None? Okay. What Randy has presented to you is a resolution. This is a draft resolution that he's presented to the EVA board and many of the other neighborhood boards throughout the island or throughout Oahu has adopted that. I believe there's 8 or 10 different other boards, and this draft resolution is presented to us to see if this board would like to entertain a motion to accept. 1 second, go ahead. Okay. Okay. Okay, I have a motion on the floor and seconded, and Mitchell.
I'm gonna just thank you all you for entertaining me. But it's important. Number 12, I think it's applicable here. In 1999, gentleman is very correct about the Leeward Bikeway efforts. In 1999, the legislature appropriated $4 million. The money's lapsed time and time again. Then the Leeward Bikeway being a piecemeal into 2 phases. Now there's these things called TIPs, Transportation Improvement Programs. And they split the Leeward Bikeway into 2 phases and took...
Is a city or Haseko building a new road going into Onelua Beach Park, how bush. Haseko will be improving the existing Papipi Road to the park, but not building a new road. Second one was a follow-up. There are no city street signs at the fork progressing down near Kakimohala. The Department of Transportation Services will conduct an investigation and inform the board in January 2008, next month. Also, there was a concern that the city paved the potholes in the Ewa Post Office and Credit Union parking lot, and there were some concerns that they were not handicap stalls and they were not ADA compliant. And the Division of Road Maintenance did patch the potholes within the parking lot area, but as far as the ADA compliant issues, we still need to contact Mr. Randy Wong, and I'll have Joyce follow up with that for next month.
Yeah, that would be a very important piece, because I know the resident that brought it to our concern, he was really concerned about the ADA compliance.
We'll follow up on that for next month. Also, there was a request for a green neon pedestrian crosswalk sign at North-South Road, and this is not a city road, this is a state road, so maybe a state representative could follow up on that for you. Also, request painting all crosswalk lines marked crosswalk ahead. And also, this is going to be forwarded to the Department of Facility Maintenance. I don't know exactly where all those crosswalks are, so again, I'll have to get Joyce to follow up with you on that. And request sidewalk improvements on Papipi Road near Ewa Beach Elementary School. The request for there is an unimproved road shoulder fronting the elementary school. However, if the community desires concrete sidewalks, then it becomes what they call an improvement district, and any such request should be made through the city council. And basically what happens is the community has to have, I can't remember what percentage, it's more than 50, maybe like 55% agreement, and the homeowners in that area would bear half the cost because it is an improvement to their area. So basically that's how it's handled, would be through a city council request.
Okay, we have somebody in the audience who'd like to help you answer that.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Shireen from Haseko. 2 things. The Onelua Beach Park access road, we're actually relocating the existing road, because where the road is that you use right now is located is actually on Haseko property, and the city has an easement to allow the general public to use that. And because we're going to be giving to the city about 9 acres of beachfront land to expand Onelua Beach Park, we'll be relocating the beach access road onto what is going to be city property. So the community will have that constant access during the construction process. They're basically building the new road and keeping the old road open until the new one is done. Okay. And then for Papipi Road, sidewalk in front of the Ewa Beach Elementary School, sidewalks are actually included as part of the phase 2 of the Papipi Drainage Improvement Project. You might see some of the construction going on there now. It does include sidewalks there. So no need to do improvement district for that one.
All right, good. Thanks for that update.
Thank you for the clarification. That's all I have. Are there any questions?
Okay, board, Tom?
Very briefly, we discussed tonight the fact that the north-south road at Farrington Highway intersection, thank you for taking this down. Joyce Oliveira, I made this comment I think twice now. First of all, the state can't do an overpass on the north-south road. So what we heard tonight is that the city can, because it owns Farrington Highway, the city can do an overpass, or what's called a flyover, over the north-south road. So the state, Director Haraka was here. I know some elected officials put in $11 million for that overpass on north-south road. It didn't pan out because it can't be done according to federal, it's called AASHTO guidelines. So to make a brief suggestion, if the mayor can, with Councilman Apo, work together to say this is not something of a vision down the road, Chair, but rather I think that we can concur here that this is something that needs to be done ASAP. But while it's a cornfield, build it now. We know the traffic's going to be there, right? Thank you.
Okay. Point well taken. You might want to put that in writing to make sure Joyce gets it for follow through. Okay, Scott? Oh, yeah, sorry. I was just checking to see if you guys were...
Sorry, yeah, I'm awake down here. I did have a quick question. Can you give us an update, or can Joyce at the next meeting, on the sewage treatment plant and where we are with the EPA and where the city is with the EPA? There's been some talk about Sanda Island, but I haven't heard about our plant and what the situation is. Well, what does that mean? I mean, I know we're not in compliance, but are they going to grant us a waiver or not?
Okay, I'll have Joyce follow up. I don't have
Right,
any
I understand.
Okay. And what I might ask you to do also is fill out something so we can help Joyce with some of that stuff. Okay. Any other board members? Scott? I'm sorry.
Just a comment I'd like to pass back to the mayor and the administration, in particular parks. The administration's been very supportive these last few years of my endeavors to put computers and free wireless internet into the parks. And we'll be doing a Pili La'au this Saturday. And it's just been because of the mayor's desire to be protective of taxpayer resources, but also see some innovative partnerships in our community centers like parks. And so it's been a real pleasure for me and through my charity these last few years to kind of work with parks and then through the mayor's office to begin to achieve this goal that I think will be good for everybody. And just wanted to pass that good word back to the mayor.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Any other board members? Community comments? John?
John Goldner with Representative Pine. I'll give you a copy of this, and I just want to bring the mayor's attention to a letter that we're addressing to the president of the Ewa Beach Golf Club. This is in regards to North Road here, and we want to bring it to the mayor's attention because in addition to working to bring the issue to a resolution so that the golf course begins to maintain the portion of North Road between Iroquois Point and between right here in this area, what we're also going to look at is the bus and the bus service, the lack thereof to Iroquois Point. And we hope to work with the mayor on this issue, and I just want to bring his attention to it that we'll be sending this letter over to his office shortly, and we'd like to talk to him about it in the future.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, just one that I'd like to pass on. In reference to the boat, I understand, or I heard some controversy, or not controversy, but some comments about the bus and the boat working kind of well together at this point, and I understand the ridership has been increasing, especially on the boat. Is there any time period right now? I know during a pilot program, it's supposed to be a one-year pilot, but is there any time period on when they may extend that service, and especially both ways? The reason I say that, I know we have some UH students that attend a aviation program at Kaliloa, and sometimes they're interested in riding from town, and they do come from town, but they have to use their vehicles, of course. So just a quick question if we follow up on a time frame.
Yeah, I know that the service has been very successful. They've had full loads, and in that case, when there's people standing, they have a bus to bring them to their destination downtown. But as far as if they'll extend this current service, I'll get back to you, or have Joyce get back to you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thanks, Michelle. Appreciate it.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Oh, actually, I do have one more, real fast. You know, we're having a Christmas parade on the 15th. If the mayor's busy schedule can be opened up slightly to come visit us, it would be great.
I'll pass it along.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Apo's office. Hi, Cindy.
Good evening. Cindy Ramirez for Councilmember Apo. He unfortunately was delayed at a meeting and was not able to come. However, taking from the meeting so far, I did make note about the flyover for Farrington. And are there any other comments or questions from the board at this time that I can take back to the council member.
Board member?
Hand in the microphone. I guess it was after the last meeting, so it was about 3 weeks ago. The trees on the burn in West Lock were cut down. The association in West Lock did nothing.
West Lock Fairways was like this.
West Lock Fairways. The association knew nothing about it. The trees were not diseased. I'd like to know what they plan on doing about it. That's 16 feet of clay. Without those trees there to hold the dirt in place, there could be some serious erosion problems. What is the city going to do about replacing those trees, and with what? Thanks.
Okay, any other board members? Scott?
A comment for Councilmember Poe and his office. A few days ago, I had the opportunity to get a tour of North-South Road. It was something that the council member had put together, and like many, I wasn't really sure how far along the road had progressed. And I really have been grateful to the council member and to the office for kind of engineering this. You had to deal with construction, state, city, and a lot of logistics. But it was great for me to get a chance to get out and photograph, and the videos will be up on YouTube. And it's I really appreciate that. It was very informative.
Okay, John?
And from Representative Pine, same comments as before about the letter with Ewa Beach Golf Club. We'll be including Councilmember Poe in that correspondence as well.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the community? Okay. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
All right. Moving right along. Governor's Rep, Tommy? Happy holidays.
Good evening, I'm Tommy Johnson from the Department of Public Safety. I'll make this quick. I got a couple of announcements. The first, and probably the most important, is I wanted to take a minute to give a hand to the Hawaii Warriors for an undefeated season. And just in case anybody was going to the game, could you take me with you, please?
Oh, I thought you had tickets.
Real quick, really, if you are going, let me know. I could use the time off. As you know, the governor celebrated the 66th anniversary of the tragedy at Pearl Harbor, and she participated in the dedication of the USS Oklahoma Memorial on the 7th of December. Barry Fukunaga was named her chief of staff. He was the former director of the Department of Transportation, so good luck to Barry. The governor wanted everyone to know that she supports the nurses. As you know, nationwide we have a crunch on nurses. We need nurses very badly. And the governor released $6.8 million for design and construction of temporary nursing programs at UH Leeward Community College to help that progress along. In addition, the Department of Human Services doled out of federal money, $14.4 million, to assist hospitals who have to take care of uninsured patients. So that helped out a lot. This information is on the handouts I left on the table, and it's also included in on the website at www.hawaii.gov/gov. And the last thing I wanted to mention was, if some of you read the article in the paper yesterday in the Advertiser, Governor Lingle visited the T.J. Mahoney program in Kalihi, which is a transition program for women that provides a whole array of gender-specific programs for women transitioning back into the community. And we'd like to expand programs like that. So if you know of a building out there that's vacant, where we could use for a transition facility for women, please let us know. My number is 587-1340. Yes.
You want a building in heaven?
I want a building anywhere, because as you know, the 97% of the people in prison will transition back into the community. And if we can provide them with transition services to help reduce recidivism and get them back on their feet, so they're less likely to go back to their criminal behavior. And in particular, the female offenders have specific needs that we need to address, which are much wider than the male population.
Tom here.
Oh, no, there's.
There was a task force to conduct a review of the State Highway Fund on November 20th at the State Capitol. And Interim Director Morioka was there and addressing this panel. Speaker Emeritus Joe Suki had mentioned to Mr. Morioka, what's your proposal to fund highways? And it's been kind of an open-ended question. If that answer can be provided by the DOT that would be given to this task force, I think it would be just as informative to this board to know how we're going to fund more highway development. And second of all, last month I had brought up some clarity. Does this administration, does the governor's administration have any plans to identify a right-of-way to augment the carrying capacity of the H1 corridor? Are there any more lane miles?
I passed that information through the governor's office, and they were going to work with the Department of Transportation and get that information to the Community Neighborhood Board Association. So I'll follow up with that. If they didn't send it to you, I'll follow up.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Anybody else? Board member? Anybody from the community? Questions? Concerns? Okay, thanks, Tommy. Appreciate it.
This is early. Thank you.
Well, yeah, it's all part of you.
Jinx said, come on, I'm sorry. Yeah, come on now, right? This is magical.
Okay, Senator Sparrow, is anybody? Okay, thanks, John.
As a follow-up to the questions offered for Senator Sparrow last month, I believe that the senator followed up directly with the person that asked the question, or if he has not yet, then he will in the future. And so at this time, I will take any questions back to Senator Sparrow, if anyone has any.
Board members, any questions for the senator? And anybody from the community?
And just as a clarification.
Can you use the mic, please?
I'm sorry, John, just for the purpose of clarification, and we all love the honorable senator, but there's been some discussion whether or not he lives in the district or not. Can you please confirm that?
Okay, I will take that question back to Senator Sparrow, and we'll get back to you also on that. Yeah.
I haven't heard from the senator with respect to that question.
All right. Yes, sir. I will let him know that you have not heard from him either.
Okay, any other questions or concerns for the senator?
All right.
Okay, thank you very much, John. And Representative Cabanilla, how are you this evening? And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to us. As a matter of fact, I came tonight on a rainy night just to deliver my personal greetings. Happy holidays to all of you. I did not, however, bring a gift, but I am here to extend my personal invitation to all of you, as well as to the audience, members of District 42, to come to the Capitol on opening day. It's the third Wednesday of the month. I will be serving Filipino food, and you get to sit at the lobby outside the veranda on the 4th floor looking at the Hawaiian flag. And it would really be a delight to see you guys come to the Capitol. I know traffic is heavy, but we have a wonderful bus system that you can ride to come and see us. And it would be nice. Please come. We will be there, and that will be my happy holiday greetings. Now, going on my report, as you see, I have a very extensive report, and I invite you to please read it. I'm starting my 2 minutes now.
Oh, okay. Oh, you have the time now.
Huh?
Your time is up already. No.
But
let me ask you this while we're on pause.
Okay.
Okay.
Have lunch at my office, then you can go visit Senator Sparrow and Representative Pine's office after that.
Okay, we got it. And we're back on. We'll visit everybody.
Okay, all right. Okay, just in time for my report.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, as you see, I have an extensive report, and on page 1 was what I've been doing is going through different neighborhood boards presenting about House Bill 70, that's about toll road, the toll road bill. And let me just clarify, it's not because I enjoy having the people of the leeward side pay a toll, But however, considering the type of funding that we have in the state, we don't have enough state and federal dollars, that is a way that we can go and have can build ourselves out of congestion without waiting for 50 years or 60 years for another freeway. And as you see during the last meeting that we have with DOT, we do have $90.2 million in state highway funds. But consider that building a new freeway would be in the billion. 1.2 is the last $1 billion. So, and we don't have federal dollars to match that. So it's going to take a while to build that highway funds, and we need traffic relief now. So the front page is just my initiative. I went to the Citizens Advisory Committee of the Oahu Metropolitan Planning Organization, asking them to ask the committee, AMPO committee, which is chaired by Senator Espero, to ask the Senate to hear it, and unfortunately it did not pass, and I wasn't too happy with that. I went there, hoping that since the ball is on our court, the senator is our chair. However, for reasons of his own, the thing did not pass through that. But I will continue, and I hope that you will still continue to be with me, because I think that we are all working for the people of Ewa here. And the excuse of the Senate was the so-called splintered paddle. So, and I would like to be a part of the minutes, to be included in the minutes of what the House Majority Office analysis of the splintered paddle is. And actually it has nothing to do with toll roads, but it's about public safety. And the governor's rep talked about nursing. I'm happy to say that this fall they will now starting a school of nursing at Leeward Community College through KCC. And while I'm on that topic, I've been reading the paper, and I would like to, this is brand new thoughts, and I would like to share it with you. I'll just give you 30 seconds to say that. We're aging, right? And we here in the Leeward side, Ewa Beach, are building a lot of brand new homes. And I read in the Pacific Business News that one of the problems why the cost of medical care is going up is because the acute hospitals are hosting nursing home patients. So one of the things I was thinking, and I will explore that with you more, is that maybe with these new developments that they set aside certain elderly housing. Because we're all heading there. Okay, that's my piece. Something of my thoughts, and I'll be discussing more of that with you. And there's other initiatives in the House that I'm trying to pass this session, and I've been trying to pass it for the last 2 sessions. Is that the Major Accident Investigation Team, oh my God, MATE, and HB 1549, so we can clear the accidents much faster. And the false news about, we're on the right track. Traffic congestion is the #1 quality of life issue. It's validated here. My article in the Honolulu Advertiser, Tom Berg here, his opinion also that's published in the Pacific Business News. And the Hawaii Reporter also talking about what can we do for the motorist, and more conversations about the toll road. I don't think that I'm off the mark about toll roads. I think that's one thing that we need here in this state. And so there's a lot of articles about it. And and of course the East-West Connected Road, we want some timeline on it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Very good report. I'm sorry I had to rush you through that. Tom?
Just to be clear here, you as a presenter cannot, only a board member can submit something for the minutes. So I would like to, as a board member, since the letter from Senator Kalani English, Chair of Transportation, AMPO Policy Committee correspondence was in our meeting minutes for November, I think it applicable that this one page, which is attached to Rep. Governor's report, I'm asking, Chair, for your concurrence, that that be submitted in December's meeting minutes.
Any objections, board? Okay, so
thank you.
Okay. Question.
Sorry. This is actually about your public-private partnership. Representative, does it have to go through transportation? In other words, could it go through the economic development side of things if it was a more overarching bill for public-private partnerships under which toll roads could fall in the future. Do you see my point?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, and that's a decision that the Senate makes, because right now, as you know, it passed the House. There was no problem passing the House. The president is on our, side of the court. Maybe something that we can ask her, and you can shoot her an email, and I will do so if it's something that we can be done. But that's a very good thought. Excellent thought. Yeah.
Okay, Scott? Might I seek clarification? We talked here about a public-private partnership, and we said that we wanted this thing that was being held in English's committee to be heard. And then I know that also, as I represent us on AMPO, the Citizens Advisory Committee, we also, honoring the democratic process, decided together that we would like to see this bill heard. And so we asked AMPO, consisting of elected officials, including
my senator,
the senator from our own district, who chairs AMPO, and you're saying that our simple democratic request to have something given some public air, he didn't forward our request to English, or what? What happened?
Well, he didn't put it out to vote. He didn't put it out to vote. That was my disappointment too.
Interesting.
That's a power that a chair could do.
Okay, good. Thanks, Scott. Anybody else on the board? Okay, audience?
Representative, thanks for that presentation. You included on page 5 of your packet a memo which was submitted actually by this board, which was requesting the AMPO Policy Committee to highly encourage the Senate Transportation Committee and the International Affairs Committee to schedule a hearing for House Bill 70 House Draft 3 for the next legislative session. And as you know, that was not entertained because Senator Kalani English basically testified at the AMPO-CAT committee that this is an untoward request and it's inappropriate. With that in mind, and considering how important an issue this is, would you support and would the board be amenable to putting out some sort of resolution from the board that would say, the Ewa Neighborhood Board supports or respectfully requests the members of the Transportation Committee of the Senate request a hearing for House Bill 70 HD?
Well, I think that's something that they have to decide, but...
let me interject here real quick. In effect, the letter that we submitted did address that issue. So I think putting out a resolution is not going to solve that. We've already addressed it.
Well, just as clarification, the representative was on the radio a few weeks ago, where she said that because this was not successful, what needs to be done is a petition needs to be constructed by the Senate members. So essentially, this new resolution would be specifically requesting, in a respectful manner, the actual petition from the members to have it heard.
That's something that maybe we can look at as a board, and we can talk about it probably at the next meeting and see what we can do.
May I, Chair, very, very briefly, that request to have a committee of the whole. First of all, Chair, the letter that he referenced in Rep. Campanelli's report was a letter to the AMPO Policy Committee. Chair English did not get that letter. So if upon entertainment, when we get to the Legislative Committee, I'd like to bring that up for the board's entertainment. Thank you.
Okay, that'll follow through on the Legislative Committee then, and again, we'll address it as a board later. Any other comments, questions for Representative Campanella? Henry?
I, as a private citizen, oppose this though. That tax is coming all the way. That tax is my property tax. How the rail's gonna come in? I personally oppose this though. This area is too small. This island is too small. I urge the board to consider not having a toll over. I'm sorry.
Okay, understand. Point well taken. Thank you.
All right.
I just want to comment on private partnerships.
I think that's a very bad idea to go into, and personally, I don't have enough information regarding private partnerships, but I think it takes a democratic process out of the equation. Because private partnerships, in my estimation, deals with government and developer. So, the democratic process is screwed. Grassroots are screwed. But you gotta investigate, you better investigate that, private partnerships. I mean, that's a nationwide emphasis to go into private partnerships because they don't want the public involved in the decision making.
Okay, good, thank you. Point well taken.
Well, thank you so much, and
okay, thank
you
you
all have a happy holiday.
All right, thank you. Okay, John? Oh.
Hello,
Representative Pine's office.
Right, I'm John Golner, Representative Kimberly Pine. And so first, from questions or concerns, last month, Representative Pine will be meeting with Senator English in the next couple of weeks. That meeting is coming up very soon. And we'll get back to you on the results of that as soon as that takes place. And actually, just from a few minutes ago, we do know that Honolulu was denied the waiver, the same as Sand Island, but of course we'll hear more from the city about what they plan to do at this point. And so I'd like to be sure everybody got a copy of our written report, and we've got some great stuff in here. We participated in a North-South Road site visit, and as we mentioned, the completion date keeps getting pushed back. So right now we're going to meet with the Department of Transportation and also with construction officials and really try to make sure that this doesn't get pushed back again. We don't run into any more delays, and we do whatever we can do in our capacity to help them out and keep the ball rolling on the North-South Road. But please check out some of the pictures we have in there. And the interchange for the North-South Road and the H1 is projected to have that section of the H1 diverted for about a 6-month window. That's, of course, between Fort Weaver Road and Kapolei, and we've been told that the divert will handle that amount of traffic, but just be on the lookout for that. It should be happening in 2008. Finally, we gave you some more transportation updates, and as always, we have the website for the DOT and the report, so you can check on updated status of these projects, and you can also see when there's going to be lane closures like we've had on Fort Weaver Road lately for the restriping and for the widening. And on the last page, I'd like to especially be sure that everybody gets a chance to read the letter that Representative Pine addressed to the president of the Ewa Beach Golf Club. As we all know, North Road, between Iroquois Point and here in this section of North Road by Campbell, that section that the golf course owns has been a very hazardous place for a couple of years now. And we've worked with the city, we've tried to work with the golf course and really get something done about it. We really want to bring this issue to a conclusion once and for all. So please read the letter. It's actually very pointed. We made sure to advise the golf course if they want to take the position that it's their road and we're lucky that we can use it, that they're going to be liable if somebody gets struck on that road. We also asked them not only to clean it up now, but to set up a schedule where it'll continue to be clean. And we're also going to work with the city and try to get a sidewalk in that area and see what we can do about getting bus service into Iroquois Point so the residents don't have to walk all the way down North Road to catch the bus. So, and again, Representative Pine also would like to invite you Wednesday, January 16th, is it? Third Wednesday in January for opening day. Room 317 will also have Filipino food. We hope that you can come and see all of us down there. I'll take any questions.
Chair.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tony.
You know what's really great about this discussion here is that both Representative Pine and Representative Cabanillo support the toll road bill. What's also very good is that since Representative Pine and Representative Cabanillo have been in office, there's been no raiding of the Special Highway Fund. The state of Hawaii collected, ending June 30th of 2006, $116 million in state and local fuel taxes. $116 million. $81 million went to the state Special Highway Fund. If we take the comment from the public regarding this, if you can bring this back to Rep. Pine, if people don't want to pay for a toll road, Isn't it the other option being that then you don't get a road? We had a 2-year delay on the Fort Weaver widening, $17 million more. We've had North-South Road to cost $132 million at 6 lanes back in 2001, now cost $162 million for only 4 lanes. So if we're going to go to this formula of not having toll roads, do you want to comment on what do you think other solutions could be? Because I just laid it out for you. There's not enough money in the fuel tax.
Yeah, Tom, and absolutely, and you do bring up the concept toll roads, slow roads, or no roads. I appreciate you mentioning that since Representative Pine has been in office, the highway fund hasn't been rated. Last year, they took one bill, and all the way through, when the bill was being funded, it was coming out of the general fund. In the last hour, they took the money and they took it out of the highway fund, and we had to make a tough vote against that bill. And then, you know, in the end, the governor's not going to take that money out of the highway fund. So it's tough. It's tough sometimes to support when the legislature attempts to take this money, or to take a bill that's a good bill, and then take the money out of the highway fund. So that is a tough road to stay on. And as far as the toll road, one of the things that everyone says is, all right, if we're going to have a toll road, that means that Leeward residents are going to be penalized for driving on the road. We're going to have to pay to get into town. Something that helps us to support the concept we've seen so far is that the construction will take place while the H1 remains open. And we support it under the premise that, and we would support this sort of toll road under the premise that the H1 remained open, and not open as in half the lanes, but open with all the lanes, carrying a heavy volume of traffic while the construction takes place. That's why we would support that concept. Most of all, we just support the concept of having the public-private partnership enabling legislation to get the ball rolling on this sort of thing. But no, we certainly recognize that this doesn't mean that Leeward residents will have to pay to drive into town. The H1 will still be open exactly as it is underneath, and they can still drive on that. It will, however, have a smaller volume of traffic because a lot of people will be driving on the elevated lanes above, making your commute easier without having to pay any money at all.
Okay, thank you. Any other board members? Okay, community comments? All right, John, thank you very much. Okay, this moves us into committee reports. Anybody from the committees, transportation, legislation, got anything to say?
You legislation. Yes. Gary Bautista, board member Bautista last month mentioned 3 bills. He said this was the legislative package that was passed last year, and they're still alive. House Bill 1549, which is the accident traffic investigation bill. The other one is 1547, which is to bring the experts and financiers that build roads to Honolulu. And the other one that this board supported was House Bill 724, which was to take away that 10% that the state's withholding to process the GET tax for the so-called elevated fixed guideway. And the state's withholding 10%. And this board supported the fact, when we had a presentation, that the state, there's no reason for it to retain 10% to collect the tax. The city collects 2% to process an impact fee deposited in the state's coffers. So it makes no sense that the state would collect 10% to deposit its collection into the city's coffers. So those are 3 bills brought up by board member Bautista last month. And I want to follow through as legislative chair on that. Here's what we need to do as a board, not looking for support on this, is since we already provided support for these bills at the time of them being heard, we just need to follow through now because they did pass the House. So each bill appropriately would have a particular senator that we would support ask, hear the bill. So with that said, I'd like to take this package, provide it in more detail to the board chair, whereby the board chair, my motion is that the board chair has the authority to provide the 3 bills aforementioned, 1547, 1549, House Bill 724, for follow-up to the respective Senate chairs to request the bills be heard. That's my motion.
That's just your committee report. We'll take it before the board next month, and we'll take it as a motion at that point.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any of the other chairs have anything to say for their committees? I'm sorry, Scott.
Just because usually the committee reports kind of get past that 3-hour mark, and I know some of the home viewing audience should know a couple things. The transportation, with respect to my role as traffic and transportation, obviously the most pressing transportation issues for the other community are going to be our relationship with a fixed guideway and our ability to access it. So the things that we want to be aware of in our community is that there are transit-oriented development meetings being held, and those are pretty critical because they shape the way that transit stations such as the one in Waipahu that'll be closest to us will be developed. And issues such as how much parking will be available, what type of parking will be available, or if the expectation will be for the community to adopt mass transit in the form of buses that we ride at the transit station. That all remains to be determined. And if you want to be cynical about government, be cynical, but it's a pretty open process, and the name of the game is what the communities want in TODs. And right now, there's not a lot of parking in this Waipahu transit station. There's not a lot of plans for it. So as a community, we just might want to be keenly aware before we're complaining about what happened that we didn't say enough about. The other issue with respect to our proximity to the fixed guideway is what will we ride when we get there. There is talk about whether or not there could be a bus system, some type of bus that you can catch here and you access an on-ramp in Waipahu at the closest transit center and you're on the mass transit system. The flexibility being that by having a rubber-wheeled train car, you can literally drive it off the tracks and into neighborhoods like here in Ewa or up in the Leeward district or to the airport or Mililani. So we should all as a community be aware of that because your voice can make a difference to City Council with respect to the technology. That's the thing that they're talking, the technology that we use on the mass transit system. And I know that the next month we'll actually hear from a council member who will talk to us about changing state legislation to enable the consideration of alternative technologies. And this is all eye-glazing stuff, but we ought to really tune in and try to be aware that we can have a say in what we ride when we get there, where we park, if we park when we get there, and how we get there. And then the other role I serve on the neighborhood board is AMPO. We've touched on the AMPO thing over and over. Hopefully we'll have a chance next month to learn from our senator who also happens to chair AMPO, some of the reasoning behind not honoring the wishes not only of the AMPO Citizens Advisory Committee, but also of his own neighborhood board and wanting to have a little more discussion. And the AMPO thing that we had was a presentation on this bus. And for those of you who want to see some of these meetings I go to, thank you, timer, youtube.com, SCTINC, you can see the presentation on the rubber rail. You can see all kinds of different things that I attend in the capacity of your representative. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. You guys got anything on your committee reports? Nothing. Okay, can I entertain a motion for adjournment? Thank you very much.
Wow! That's amazing, Mr. Chair.
Good. Happy holidays. Okay, if there's, of course I haven't been outside lately, but if there's any refreshments left, you guys are welcome to it. Please help me clean up the area so we don't have any complaints.
And everyone's not going to work because...
Hey, Scotty. Oh, yeah, Scotty.
Scotty. Isn't that Scotty?
Hey, Scotty.
Hey, yeah, go ahead and say what you want there. You're all over the...
No offense to you, Scotty.
I'll be right on there.
Anything people
You didn't have to say it. It was great.
Oh, she's
Yeah, I'd like to see something on that. That might be something that maybe we need. The last month that
Yeah, exactly. I checked you out. I was like, I know I'm going good. I wanted to make sure you got it all. Because I don't and you know, you won't know they say you get me out of my I saw the people on high meeting. I'm gonna let your viewer guy know about parking. All everybody was a whole family and we keep agreement. Yeah. Thank you so much. Exactly. That's
happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Let's greet everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Take care. Thanks for being here. Ready?
The 7 parts, actually it's a
Take myself. 256.
Well, it has to go to the parks director. No, the parks director, usually, ready for you. Park director is the one I made the decision. Advanced parks meeting was on December 2nd.
All right, let me know.
And,
I had them in my van, and I leave my van with,
That's where you had it.
okay, and, okay, so out of the 7 parks, right, 4 of them was approved as written, opposed to the resolution that we put in.
happy days in my life.